Hey, pre-notification gang. Oh. Damn, what was the answer to this one? I don't know how to look at it. Have you ever played Rogue Company? No. No, I have not. I do know about it, though. I just myself haven't played it. This is like the same thing every single time. Doing alright. Hope you're doing well. I have played Ori. Ori was good. Is that typically a game that I enjoy, but I enjoyed Ori. I didn't finish it, though. You're gonna play Hitman 3? Yes. Of course I will. Rust is overrated. It's one word. Overrated is one word. But that's fine, man. I didn't make the game. I just enjoy it. What I don't just take? You gonna stream Doom DLC? I already did. It was alright. Thanks to the resub. Unnamed. What's today's Pog? Is that today's PogChamp? Nice. Thanks to the Prime Meat God. Hanson vs Predator tier list. Thanks for the gift sub, Harry. Good to see you, man. Hope you had a good night. Probably wouldn't do that. I don't think rating predators is a good idea. Call me old-fashioned. Thanks to the 2 gift subs, Riles. Am I looking for a mate here? Is every puzzle a mate or nah? Thanks to the Prime Space Wolf. And thank you for the gift sub, Reese, and the Prime Toucans. And the resub Cellmate. Queen D7, he just takes, and then what? What's my follow-up? Oh, well, never mind, he can't take. That is the move. Oh, no, 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 it was here. Whoops. I autopiloted. Oh, whoops. I wasn't paying attention. So what was the solution here? I don't remember this one. I don't remember. Thanks to the Prime, Arterox, Girthy, and Resub Thunder, and Bits Flash. Thanks to the big 50 Cryo. Oh, I hate censorship. Thanks to Tier 1 Kozo. Yeah, I think censorship fucking sucks. Though, to be fair, I guess it's a little different when you're like the actual president saying that fucking terrorism's cool. I guess that's a little different. So, can't necessarily say that I'm too upset to see that. Thanks to the resub Double Danny. Doing alright, Mushrooms. Hope you're doing well. Thanks to the gift sub Kazuma. Thank you for the 5 gift subs Kobe. And the bits Hyperzing. And bits Chloe. Hope you've been well, Chloe. Thanks to the resub Monocle. Yeah, I know I'm supposed to take the rook. Yeah, Queen's Gambit was very good. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I will have Daniel on the horn here pretty soon. Thank you for the 10 gift subs, Meat God. And the resub Koopa Coughlin. And the tier 1 My Name Jeff. And tier 1 Dr. Love. And Prime Symbol. Thank you, Meat God. Thanks for the fat drop, man. Thank you for the bits, Nathan, Mr. Bones. We gonna gamble today? Nah. Today's a lesson, nothing to gamble on. Thanks for the resub, Sir Stall. Yeah, we'll do the lesson for this afternoon, and then tonight we'll hop back on Rust, is the plan. Thank you for the tier 1 Mac and the tier 3 MRG time. Thank you for the big fucking tier 3, man. And the resub Goldstein, Big Milk, Prime, Julianne, and tier 1 your boy Jeremy. And resub T-Belsk. I don't know when PogChamps 3 is, but yeah, I will be in it. I will be winning it. Good luck at Jad, Ivan. Among Us with Sean later. I am not in that lobby today. I also couldn't make it to that lobby even if I was invited. I've been doing a lot of early streams, Lavender. And I had the itch for a chess lesson, and Daniel was free. Thanks to the Prime, Free Eyes, and tier 1 Ox Safari, and resub Dog. True, Gothic. Good point. Thanks to the resub Brindizzle and Prime Dank. And the big 5 gift subs Cumgar. Hey, Cumgar. And thanks to the Prime Atticus. Okay, alright, I'm ready.
Hello.
Hey, man.
Hey, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm great. This is an awesome surprise.
Yeah. I'm glad to hear you were free. Thanks for 10 gift subs, Hyperzing.
I'm always
and the tier 1, man. Liam.
After the big news about PogChamps 3,
Hyper.
my single purpose in life is to get you to kick ass.
Oh, that's what I like to hear.
Putting you through the ultimate Russian torture. If you thought our prep for PogChamps 1 was tough, then welcome to hell.
I'm excited to be here.
Likewise. Well, again, it's awesome that you accepted the invite. I think you've got a really good shot, and I'm honored to be the one helping you prepare. So I hope not to disappoint. I don't know if we'll repeat the success from your game against XCC, but we'll do our best.
We'll get close at least.
Oh, absolutely.
Thanks to
Or we'll
Skillful,
so
Zoldyck, and
before we
Kirat.
jump in, I thought a little bit about how to structure. So PogChamps, when did the games actually begin? Do you know?
No, I don't know when it starts.
I'm assuming it's like
Thanks to
probably a
Jeremy
couple of
and
weeks. So I put a little bit of thought into how we're sort of going to structure our training from a broader level. I want to give you a really quick overview and then maybe get your take on it. I don't imagine you'll vehemently oppose it, but I just wanted to kind of let you know where I stand and what the overarching plan is. So I think that your training before PogChamps 3 should be divided primarily into 4 categories.
Goddamn, Hyper.
The first is, of course, games. You want to get a ton of practice, and a lot of it you'll do alone. Some of it we'll do between us, and we'll mercilessly go over every frickin' mistake and why it's made and how to correct it. So you want to be, you want to play a ton of games. Number 2 is openings. So at some point, we'll have to do a session where we basically revamp your opening repertoire. And that's going to be the most boring session you've ever had. You're going to want to pull all my teeth out and then punch me in the face.
Okay.
In either order. But just warning you, that session will come. But nonetheless, I think if we revamp your openings, you'll sort of expand your horizon a little bit, and you'll be able to fight for an advantage with both colors, which I think is going to be important for PogChamps 3.
Janos.
Number 3 is, of course, tactical form. I saw you doing Puzzle Rush. We'll do a bunch of different drills and exercises because basically I want you to be in as good of a tactical form as you were before PogChamps 1. And then number 4 is what I would call positional understanding. I want to help you expand a little bit your base of knowledge in terms of how you look at various positions. And I want you to become comfortable finding plans that involve doing shit other than attacking your opponent's king. So we're going to look at some classical games. We're going to do a lot of exercises that maybe are a little unfamiliar to you, but those are the 4 categories that I really want to help you master before PogChamps 3. How does that sound in general?
I'm all aboard the Daniel train. Whatever you think's best, I'm in. That all sounds good to me.
Fantastic. Well, how do you know I'm not trying to sabotage you? Are you absolutely certain of that?
Nah, even if you were, I'd take it. If Daniel needs to sabotage me for some kind of loan shark deal, I'm fine with that too.
Oh, the kind of shit I'm in, you wouldn't believe. Okay, so I think we should probably start with maybe 1 or 2 games. Sure. And then we'll analyze, and then we'll go into a new kind of exercise.
Okay, just 5-minute games.
Sure. Perfect. So apparently it's last 2 weeks of February, so we got over a month, which is awesome. All right. Oh, I don't think I can hear you any longer. Oh, okay, you're still.
Thanks to Resub Hyper. I was analyzing the board. Thank you for the bit stream.
It took me a while to open the game.
Tier 1 done.
All
video.
Right. So, founded 1988. Interesting opening. What comes to mind here?
Just pinning knight and then dropping the bishop back.
So, more active to pin the knight, of course. Yep. Thanks, wasted way for the prime. Okay, so here already you need to put your tactical detector on. Whenever you have a pin.
Yeah, that pawn's now hanging at E5.
Bingo. Exactly. Very good. Okay. And his position spirals out of control. What comes to mind here?
Just development, castling.
So that's one option. But once you have a knight on e5 and bishop on b5, what other thing do you have to consider? Anything catch your eye in terms of that pin? Take a look at his knight on c6. How many attackers do you have on that knight?
I now have 2. Oh, I see. I can win a rook. I take with knight. He takes with pawn. I take with bishop.
Yeah, technically you win the exchange because he takes back the bishop. So, like, technically it's like only an exchange, but that's not a pretty bad outcome from the opening.
Yeah. We're up on points here.
Yeah. I mean, it's not great to win the exchange by move 9, but, you know, it'll do. All right, now you want to get the hell out of the center, or else he's going to give you a check with his rook on e8.
Yeah, so now I just want to develop.
Yeah. Exactly. Perfect. And now, again, the key is when you win material, your first priority afterwards should be, as you're pointing out, development. It's easy to sort of get low. Whoa. Wait a minute. Your first priority should be to take free
Yeah,
shit.
just getting that free knight.
Absolutely. With check. Yeah, founded 1988. Oh my god.
Oh, another one.
Oh my goodness. Jesus. Oh. you're just mopping it up. You know, they don't have buffets anymore, but this reminds me of the good old days, and I'd go to like the local Indian restaurant for lunch.
Yeah, this is pretty adorable.
Just mop up all the curries all in a row.
Yeah, so I was gonna ask, do I take this pawn with check? He takes with queen. Well, if he took with queen, I take with queen. Is it better to take the pawn on d5 or just take the hanging one on h7?
So the d5 pawn is the juicier morsel, but there's a funny. I would take the d5 pawn with the queen, and the reason behind that is a very funny one. If you take with the knight, he goes king up to d6, and all of a sudden your queen is hanging, and your knight is actually hanging. Okay. His queen on a8 is attacking it. So I would play it simple, go for the queen trade. You actually force the queen trade because his bishop is hanging. And remember that, like, I would draw the informal threshold at a rook. If you're a rook up or more, you should be very safe going for an endgame. Like, you know you're going to win that.
Next to tier 1 Papa, and they give some grievous.
But we'll take a quick look at this after the game. This knight takes d5 move.
Okay.
Holy shit.
We're really cooking.
This guy is one of the most selfless opponents I've ever seen.
Ooh, if I deliver check e1 with rook, is that better than just delivering another one? Okay.
Perfect move. Bringing the pieces into the game. Oh my goodness.
That's mate now, right?
Oh, it actually is. I actually missed it. I was so attracted by the rook, I didn't see that you could mate him on e7.
Oh no, I immediately recognized that. Yeah.
I don't know if you even need my coaching anymore, Charlie. I think you've graduated to the upper ranks of the Russian School of Chess. You need somebody better qualified.
Yes, sir.
Holy smokes, what a game. Okay, so just very, very quickly, before you jump in. Actually, why don't you jump into the next one, and then we'll analyze both at once, since you're on a roll.
Sure. All right, let's get another one going.
Yeah. There's just one or two moments in this game. You know, I hate the one letter followed by many numbers. It's never a good sign.
He's smurfing.
How does this guy remember his login? I wonder if, like, his computer is wiped. Okay. 4 knights defense.
Is it best to just castle now or push the pawn to d3 or d4?
I would castle first, although both are fine. But I would castle first, and I like that you're thinking about going d4 in one fell swoop. He's screwing around on the sides of the board.
Yeah.
So opening up the center makes perfect sense.
Okay, so now I can just play d4.
Perfect. d4. Yeah, this a6. Okay, so b5. He's playing on the flank. And now you have several interesting possibilities. You can play it simple, though.
So what I looked at was just pushing the pawn again and attacking the knight and just doing a trade. Is that good or bad?
So pushing it forward or taking his pawn?
I was just gonna, well, either work. I looked at d5 first, attacking that knight there.
So the idea is correct, but while you're at it, you might as well open up the center. So just taking on e5 with the pawn, same idea, but at least you're winning a pawn, you're opening up the center.
Okay.
The move, if you had gone d4, okay, so whoa, knight g4. He doesn't take your bishop. Now think about which new squares have opened up for that bishop.
Yeah, right there at d5, right?
Beautiful. Pinning his knight, and now look at the knight on g4. It's got only one. Okay, so you can win that knight.
Yeah, I just pushed this pawn up, right? It's got nowhere to go.
Exactly. And if he takes on e5 with his knight, then what do? He probably will do that.
If he takes on e5?
With his knight, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I just take with my knight, right?
Exactly. Undefended pieces.
Yeah.
And I'm going to hammer that constantly. Undefended pieces all the time, particularly the bishop on d5, bishop on b7. That's a standoff, and you always want to kind of note that down because that can really, really help you. Yeah, he's...
Thanks to the reset bull.
Okay, there we go.
So now I just take this bad boy back.
You absolutely do.
Then I'm...
Oh my god, pre-move. Holy smokes. He's trying to intimidate you. All right. Facing some highly generous opponents today. What comes to mind?
Well, I looked at just taking pawn on f7 with bishop.
So you can take it in one of two ways. Actually, that's good. You can take it with the bishop, but you can also take it with the knight. And either move is fine. Why don't you take with the bishop?
Okay.
Because I want to see, again, speaking of sabotage, I just like to watch you suffer. And I want to see you find the best move after he moves his king. Okay, now it's important to deconstruct what's going on here, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is your instinct? What does your gut tell you?
Well, the first thing I looked at was getting my queen into the equation. Bringing her up to d5 protects that hanging knight, and it also gets her into the attack, but I don't know if that's the play.
Okay, but are you sure it protects the knight? Because he's got two attackers on the knight. You've got only one defender.
Yeah, right.
So you need to untangle yourself, and you have just the way to do that. Just trade some pieces.
I'm just trading knights then?
Trading knights, right? Because you have no other good square. If you move your knight, then he takes your bishop.
True.
So it's a good idea for you to practice just playing it very simple. Keep simplifying. Can you force another trade?
Yeah, I can just bring my bishop back to d5, right?
Exactly. You're up a piece.
Thanks to prime.
You're still attacking. It's not like you're relinquishing the attack.
Now, do I want to take with the pawn or take with the knight or queen?
All three moves are fine. Follow your instinct here.
Okay, I'm going queen because it attacks his rook.
Good. That's a great move. Okay. Now you want to think about what are the weaknesses that have been created as a result of this move. Like, what squares does that c-pawn no longer defend? Can you get your queen to that square?
Yeah, I don't see what that relinquished.
It's fine. You can move the queen anywhere. These kinds of decisions. The b6 square is what I was referring to.
b6?
Yeah, that square, the pawn on c7 used to control it. Now the pawn is on c6. It's no longer controlling it.
Oh, so just dropping it back and moving it up?
Yes, exactly.
I see.
And that's something we're going to practice.
Okay.
The famous relinquished squares exercise. I'm surprised you haven't heard of that one.
Just a little rusty. It's been a minute. Thanks to the resub Dynamo and resub Bubbles.
He will get you in killer form.
I was thinking just deliver a check.
Keep developing? Yeah. Keep bringing pieces into the game. Bring the pieces in.
So active square for the... Well, what about moving a... I'm just going to play this because I'm running out of time.
Yeah, a4 is great, opening up the a file.
Okay, cool.
I was also thinking you could bring the rook into the game, rook a to d1, but this is great. If he allows you... Okay, now you can take on b5, and it's just going to be mate down the a file. Okay, you have checkmate in 2 moves.
Yeah, it starts with the queen at a7, right?
Nice. a4 was a great move, actually. Okay, now he's starting to think. I think it's just a tiny bit too late.
Yeah, he only has one spot, right? And now it's b8 for the mate.
b8 or c7 or a8 or a6. You have 4 different mates to choose from, actually.
Okay,
very nice.
I'll do this one.
Yeah, very clinical. Okay, so let me invite you to an analysis board. We'll just take a very quick look at these couple of moments in these 2 games. Nice. How do you feel in general? Do you feel confident? Do you feel like there's anything you are particularly nervous about, or like what's going on inside of your head right now, just so I kind of know?
Probably openings is my weakest part at the moment, would be my thought.
Would you be down to take a look at a little bit of that today?
Oh, you take me by the hand and you lead me through whatever you want.
You are a dream student. I just have... Okay, wait. Continue. I've started to do that a little bit more recently, and I hate that. I'm becoming soft. Okay, let me invite you. My Russian ancestors are not happy. There we go.
Oh, thanks to the resub suspicious food 10. Oh wait, hold on. I think I need to exit this.
Yeah.
Okay, send that back.
Let me know if you need me to invite you again.
Yeah.
Okay. Normally when a GM invites you, you want to RSVP, but I'll make an exception for you this time.
Yeah, there it is.
There we go.
All right, I'm ready. Thanks for playing, Jack.
So
resub Brighton.
we can start with the second game. So yeah, the way that we'll revamp. So F5 is. Oh, this is actually your first game. F5 is a very weird move. It's kind of like a King's Gambit, except he's playing with black. It's no good. And this was great. Bishop B5, putting pressure on the pawn. The way you played this was ideal. So knight takes C6, this makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Bishop takes, you win the exchange. Castling is very important. Okay, he literally blunders everything. The one thing I wanted to point out here, so here, the move knight takes D5 is super tempting. But whenever your queen is hanging, that's like a particular type of category. Whenever your queen is hanging, that is a very high pressure situation. That is a precursor to a lot of mistakes. You got to be very careful about how you handle those situations, because here the king can go up to D6.
Yeah.
And the issue with the queen being hanging in general is you almost always need to do something about that. So your hands are really, really tied. Queen has to move, and then black takes on D5. Now, it's not a big deal. Let's say you had blundered that. Where would you go with your queen?
Are we talking about after he takes my knight with his queen?
In this position. So
okay.
You kind of have to prepare for him taking the knight. What would be the best square for the queen in terms of making the job easier? Assuming you've made this mistake. Oh, you actually have a really cool move that doesn't lose any pieces, but I'll show you that afterward. You have a very pretty move. It took me a while to see that one, actually. So remember, the rook is the threshold. So you do want to trade queens here. Can you guarantee that you will trade queens after he takes on D5?
The only place I see is just moving it down to like D3 and just preparing for it.
Exactly. D3 or H5. That's it. All that I had in mind. Just tying the queen to the knight, trading. And what would be the next move here?
I was thinking a pawn move, but I don't know where you'd move except delivering a check on C4.
Well, then the king takes.
Yeah, but that'd be getting the king deeper. That's all I was thinking.
It would, but you don't have a queen. If you had a queen, that would be great. The problem is this is an endgame. So remember that in the endgame, the rules don't really change. You still need to do the same stuff that you would want to do in the middle game, i.e. develop your pieces. You're not going to win this game with these pieces of crap just lounging around on A1 and C1. So get them out, just like you would in a middle game.
So you just develop, you just push that pawn up D3.
Absolutely. D3, then bishop E3, and rook E1. So I'm going to put the emphasis in general, having as many of your pieces doing something as possible. If you just follow that simple rule, things are not going to be that bad. Like, that's going to eliminate
every day.
Getting crushed, basically. And in the end game, you do exactly the same thing. It's even more important to have all of your pieces playing because you don't have a lot of them left. So does that sort of make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Perfect. And now the second game. So let me see. How do I paste this one? Okay, I'm going to have to re-invite you to another board.
Good. Solid Champ is better, though.
You're getting 2 invitations now. This is your lucky day. All right. Turbo. Invited. All right. Oh, yeah. Okay, they want to see that. Okay, I'll show the cool move later.
Okay.
Cool move was knight takes C7. It was not like nothing to write home about. Okay, so here, H3, H6, A6, and you open up the center, right? Your opponent is screwing around. You open up the center. And now D takes C5. So you wanted initially to play D5. Problem with this move is that it closes up the center. And black does not have to take your bishop. Let's say black just drops the knight back to B8. Okay, you have to move the bishop, right? And black goes D6. When you have a lead in development, as you already know, you want to open up the center. And when you got this structure, the center is very closed, which means that even though you have more pieces developed, that loses its effectiveness, if that makes sense.
Okay. That makes
sense.
So
that's why the move d5. It also closes down your bishop. So d takes d5 does the same thing, but had he taken your bishop, the center is a lot more open, and you have a very, very nice move here. Very natural move, accumulating the pressure in the center.
Yeah, just pushing the pawn up, right?
You can do that. That's one way. Can you play a piece move, attacking the queen?
Oh, yeah, just developing to the d5 outpost.
Exactly. He's got to go back. Now, where do you put the bishop?
Now the bishop just goes to f4, right?
Bingo. He's got to go. You're attacking this pawn. Now tear this shit apart. The move you wanted to play earlier.
The move I wanted to play earlier?
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty vague. What move did I want to play earlier? Uh-oh.
Yeah, there were several.
Uh-oh.
That's an extremely helpful hint. What are you talking about? Earlier in this game.
Oh, I'm just pushing the pawn.
Absolutely. E5, and you open up the file, and he's absolutely busted here. So very simple, following the principles, and black's just going to get demolished here. So that was possible continuation. Sorry. He went b5, he went knight g4, bishop d5, bishop b7, h3, and there's only one other thing that I wanted to show you. After he took, then everything was very simple. He has a interesting move, h5. This is called I think a fishing pole trap. This isn't actually a trap in this position, but that's the basic idea. So what is the meaning of the move h5? Well, basically the idea is, if you take, do you see what kind of could happen here?
Yeah.
Let's say you dropped your knight to h2 nonchalantly. Black is already not winning, but it's unpleasant.
Yeah, so now he's just going to bring his queen over to the h file, right?
Exactly. Now, it's very hard to defend against checkmate. White has only one defense here, luckily. Can you find it?
It's trading queens, right? No, that wouldn't do it. I was saying.
Yeah, because queen takes h2 isn't going to be made.
Yeah. Is it just bringing the bishop up to f4?
Bingo. Only move. Without this move, it would have been checkmate. But the way to just avoid all of this is to play knight g5, stopping the queen from coming to h4. So just wanted to raise your awareness that when there is a piece on g4 and you are attacking it with h3, your opponent may play this move. And there you have to evaluate whether or not you can take the knight or the bishop, whatever is on g4, and make sure that the pathway to h4 is covered up.
Okay, makes sense.
So that's basically it. Everything else was extremely smooth.
Thanks to Resub CLM and Yeti.
Okay, perfect. So I think we can divide this next segment into two sections. We can talk a little bit about openings.
Hey, take it easy, man.
I want to sort of start talking about building up positional understanding and do a little bit of a drill that involves that. Looking at the position perhaps in ways that you're not quite used to. Does that sound good? And then after that, we can jump back in for a couple games.
Sounds good to me, man.
Perfect. Let me just pull up my notes.
Welcome, minimum.
And
I'm getting a lesson, and you're all getting a lesson for free.
A couple of positions that I have here. One moment. Okay. So let's begin with some review. We had looked at this position many moons ago. And this position is what I would call a gateway into positional understanding. So I'm going to paste this position in a moment and let me know if you can see it, because it always glitches. This is, of course, a game between two Russians, because what other game would I ever show you?
Yeah, it's the only games that matter.
And part of what I brought with me home to Charlotte is a book called it's simply called The Path to Mastery. Not even The Path to Chess Mastery, The Path to Mastery.
Wow.
I'm translating. This is written in 1970 in the Soviet Union. This is like the ultimate Russian school of chess. So some of the positions I show you are going to be from this book. It's one of my cherished possessions.
Yeah, that sounds like a crazy book.
Well, the funny thing is, it's written by a military sergeant who was also a chess master. And he talks about basically every facet of chess improvement. And you would only find this in like a Soviet book. Some of the chapter names, I shit you not. By the way, the table of content in Russian books is always at the end of the book. Okay, get this. Blah, blah, blah. The hygiene of a chess player. My stream knows this because I read from it. The hygiene of a chess player. The athletic regime of a chess player increases the chances of success. That's the name of the chapter. Various roads to to the heights of chess Olympus, on the path to mastery of an army chess player. So literally he talks about absolutely everything, and he talks about actual chess facets. So anyway, sorry about it, but it's an interesting little relic.
Have you been hitting the gym in response to this? Are you getting kind of fucking jacked right now? Ready for the chess?
I don't even leave the gym in my apartment building.
Oh, yeah.
Between the treadmill and the weights, I'm basically playing chess on the treadmill.
Beautiful.
But that's what this guy would have recommended. So,
thanks to give some low life.
This position
prime
is going to help us review some of the very basic positional content. What is positional chess in general? What do I want you to master? Positional chess can be summarized in very, very simple terms. Positional chess just means improving piece placement, the art of finding the best spots for your pieces. And there's a lot of sub concepts, right? That's not literally all there is to it, but that's what everything is essentially boils down to. Okay, and that's what I want to make you an absolute wizard at.
Okay.
So let's take a look at this position. Do you see it on yours? Yes. Let me see. Yeah, you do. Perfect. It is white to play. This game is from 1945. First, I'm not going to tell you anything. I want you to try to understand what's going on. White to move.
All right, well, the first thing I looked at was just getting queen up. Going to g3 seems like an active square. It threatens a checkmate potential on g7 by getting the bishop over to h6. Mm-hmm. It also protects the bishop still in case there is an attack on it.
Okay. Pretty good thinking.
The e4 pawn is defended only by the knight, but the knight can't be taken because it's still got the b2 pawn protecting, so that all looks pretty good.
Okay. Interesting. So we'll talk about what black should do in a second. Let's also practice a little bit of visualization, calculating in your head. If in this position, and I'm not going to make this move, black takes on e4 with his knight.
Yeah, I just saw that, yeah. Then
White actually wins. White wins there. Calculate further. You take black's knight, and black takes your knight with his queen. In that position, in your head, I want you to find the move.
So queen took back knight on e4.
Yes.
White to play.
White to play and win a piece. Not the easiest move to see, but you got to think about how the position has changed. What is now possible, which used to be impossible. And you know which square you have to target.
Take queen. What's possible? Oh, anything's possible. Fuck. Oh. My tight little asshole. I can't do this though, right? I can't come here.
Anything coming to that genius mind?
There's a couple cobwebs on here I gotta dust off, it seems. Yeah, I'm not seeing it.
Oh, and look, I'm completely understand this is going to be challenging at first.
Yeah.
So what you need to target here is that g7 pawn.
Yeah, I see. But instead of targeting with the bishop, you target with the pawn.
Bingo, f6. And if bishop takes f6?
Then I'm... so bishop f6. Pawn taken. Don't I just then slide over to h6?
Well, then you're not threatening anything on g7. You can actually just take that bishop.
Okay.
Because why can't pawn take the rook?
Because it's pinned right now.
Because it's pinned, right. So as soon as you put the queen on g3, you're like, aha, this pawn is pinned. So knight takes e4, knight e4, queen e4, f6. Double attack, bishop f6, rook f6, and white is up.
Yeah, okay.
Very good. And I'm sorry to torture you with these lines. I'm going to do a lot of that because I want you to start reliably visualizing 3-4 move lines by sort of the start of PogChamps. But here's the thing that black can do. Black can just slide his king over to h8. And this takes the sting completely out of the move queen g3 because now there's no longer a pin.
Yeah.
And would it make sense if I said that white isn't really attacking? There's no way to lift the rook. Everything is awkward. The e4 pawn is now actually hanging. White starts to crumble a little bit. Does that part make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So this is a great example of a position in which attacking your opponent's king just isn't going to do the trick. You need to find an alternate approach to the position. In order to do that, the concept of weak squares comes into play. Can you spot a very weak square in black's position? And I remind you, by definition, a weak square is a square that cannot be defended by a pawn. There's one juicy central square. Only you can get a piece there.
Yeah, isn't it d5?
It is. What would you like to get to d5?
Would putting the knight on that outpost be the play?
Absolutely, and I like that you referenced the outpost. Unfortunately, you can't do that immediately, though, because Black's knight is going to have something to say about that. But here comes the key idea.
Am I finding the key idea?
You are absolutely finding the key idea. You are going to find it. I have no doubt at all.
All right, yeah.
We're never going to have a lesson again.
Okay, so we need to get the knight off of that d5 square so...
Get the hell out of there.
Are we just chasing it down with the bishop going to g5?
Exactly.
Okay.
Bishop g5 is the brilliant move because the knight is pinned. He cannot move.
Right.
And whatever Black does in the game, Rudakovsky, Black played rook a8. Smyslov, he played, h6. Smyslov takes on f6, and he slams the knight into the outpost on d5. Amazing square. And now White has complete dominance over the bishop.
How do you capitalize from this position, though? Like, where's the line go from here?
So basically, and actually, let me look up exactly what Black did play. No, Black played rook f to e8, sorry. Rook f to e8. That's a great question. Well, we're first going to take a look at how the game ended, because the game ends very, very quickly. Essentially, the idea is only now to attack Black's king. Because you have this amazing knight, you've eliminated counterplay, the e4 pawn is safe. Now our hands are untied for a kingside attack. But first of all, queen takes c2 seems to be a free pawn for Black, but it's actually not. Can you figure out why not? And the concept of tactical awareness comes into play here. This knight on d5 is wearing a lot of hats, and there's a particular square that it now wants to get to.
So I see two options. There's just taking the bishop on f6, delivers the check, and he has to take with the pawn that opens up the g file. I don't know like where to capitalize there, but that's what...
Right. Sorry, go ahead.
And then I also noticed there's a fork potential at c7 with that knight.
Very good. That is actually the correct observation. Remember that the queen is the worst defender of a square, because queens can be very easily chased away. Get rid of this damn queen.
Just going to c1 with the rook.
Bingo. Queen has to move. Forkovich, and you win the exchange. White is better. White is basically winning. So pretty simple. Knight d5. Now, how does the actual game end? Black plays the move bishop to d8. He moves his bishop away. Smyslov decides now to defend the pawn with c3. b5. Black tries to make something happen. b3. Very patient, typical Russian move. First, get the queen out of c4. Get freaking queen out of there so I can attack like I am supposed to. Yeah, b3, queen c5, king h1. Black goes rook c8. Now, is Black actually threatening anything with this move?
No. It's still defended by the knight and queen.
It's defended by the knight. Do you see how freaking amazing
it's a tier 1 psycho and Resub Caballo.
Now, Smyslov wins the game with a very typical attacking technique. You like this particular plan, and it's a perfect time to do it.
Is it the initial one?
Say that again?
Is it the initial one by sliding up to g3?
You're close, but not with the queen. With... what? This is a plan that allows you to bring a piece into the attack.
Oh, are we doing a rook lift?
We are absolutely doing a rook lift, rook f3.
Oh, okay.
And Black tries to hide on h8 with his king. But that's just about as effective as me, I don't know, hiding under a desk when you're about to get blasted by a huge bomb. And Smyslov now plays another really nice move. He plays f6. And the point of this move is that you intercept the bishop. Where do you want this queen to go?
h4.
Exactly. So we intercept the bishop, and Black plays g takes f6. Smyslov goes queen h4. Look how methodically he brings pieces into the attack. Rook g8. And very symbolically, the knight is the piece that basically wins the game. Knight takes f6, threatening checkmate. Rook g7. Now another very nice move, rook g3. Distracting the rook from g7. If Black were to take, then what happens?
Oh, no, it's just checkmate.
Checkmate on, yeah. So bishop takes f6 was played. There's only two more moves in the game. Now, whoops, sorry. Now Black has to defend the rook with rook c to g8. Is this sort of making sense so far?
Yeah.
And now Smyslov plays the second move that I want you basically to find. What often happens when you're attacking is, as we discussed many times, you develop a kind of tunnel vision. Because what do you see here? What seems to be the square that you're going to win the game on?
It looks like.
What are you attacking with all your might?
It looks like we'll win at G7 if we could get the 2 rooks out.
But that's an illusion. And one of the things that you have to start doing when you are attacking is continually look at the whole board, because sometimes your opponent is so invested in defending a particular square that there is another pawn or another square that just becomes really weak, and you can deploy the remaining pieces and infiltrate through that particular square. And that's exactly what he does.
Yeah, so he can't take with the rook right now because it's pinned to the king, so you just get the next rook into the attack, right, by going to like F1 and bringing it up?
So you're very close. Think about how can this rook infiltrate as quickly as possible? There is a pawn that is basically indefensible. Rook F1 is almost correct. There's just a faster way of doing this.
Is it D1?
Bingo. Sorry, that was a mouse slip. Rook E1 would be kind of dumb. Rook D1 is the move, because you're just going to take the pawn on D6.
Yeah.
And let's make a random move for black. What is the actual now checkmating sequence?
I believe it's rook D8, take on D8 with queen.
Excellent.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
And now just this is made. You can also, by the way, you can sack the queen on G7. And now go rook D8. This is kind of a cool mate.
Yeah, so, I definitely didn't see that one.
Yeah, but I mean, no need to play with fire. If you see a simple mate, you want to go for a simple mate. So that basically is key positional concept number 1. You want to get a piece to a square, and you want to continually start, okay, where does this piece belong? Where does this piece belong? How can I reposition this piece to that square? And oftentimes there will be an opponent's piece that is in the way.
Vinax and resub muffin.
And you want to try to get that opponent's piece out of the way. Okay, that's sort of key gateway concept number 1. Now concept number 2. We're going to take a look at a segment from one of my games. This won't be long. It'll just be sort of one position. The concept of trades, right? And if you remember when we first started training, it was a very dark period of my life. I was having a great time. And then, of course, they assigned you to me, and everything kind of went downhill from there. But one of the few fond moments was to watch your aversion to trades, right? You've gotten so much better at that. But do you remember when you just didn't want to fucking trade anything?
Oh, I remember those beautiful days.
The dark ages of it was back in the days of the bubonic plague, and it was just a
young nubile boy back then.
It was those times. Okay, so of course you can use trades to your advantage, and oftentimes what you have to do in a position is identify your opponent's strongest piece. This is sometimes a hard process, sometimes an easy process. We'll look at an introductory position where this is easy, and then you need to devise a way to trade that
tier
piece.
3 beats.
Sometimes, this is the important part, you need to use tactics to achieve a positional goal. You need to use tactics to trade a particular piece, if that makes sense. So a good illustration is one of my old games. You are going to be playing black here, so flip the board. I want you to go through this process. I want you to A, identify white's strongest piece, and B, find the quickest way to trade it using tactics. Not an easy position, but I think you can do it. Wait, did I just encourage him? Damn it.
Okay, this is child's play, Daniel. Child's play.
You were doing this when you were in your mom's womb, basically.
Oh yeah. This is too easy.
This is an insult, actually. I'm sorry I'm giving you this position, really. It's...
So I need to trade queen. No, that's not it.
So what is the strongest piece? What is white's most annoying? And you can use your eyes here, just visually.
His strongest piece is the knight on d5 right now.
His strongest piece is the knight on d5. So you would love to get rid of the knight. That knight constitutes white's entire advantage.
Mm-hmm.
This is the hard part. So take your time.
Oh, wait, I see it. Is it I'm dropping knight to e7, he takes... Yeah, there we go. Then I deliver a check and get it back.
You frickin' got it, knight e7. Temporary sacrifice, queen c5 check, and then you win back the knight. And the position is equal. It's a queen endgame. And the knight has been gotten rid of. Nice. Now, let's imagine that black had instead tried to prepare this move by playing queen to e6. Now flip the board and face white. Another positional task, identify black's biggest weakness and pile up on it. And this shows why queen e6 is a very key mistake. So scour the board. When I say weakness, it can be a pawn, it can be a piece, it can be anything. Evaluate each particular region of the board. See if there's anything that seems to be very flimsy.
I mean, I could slide my queen all the way to h5, attacking his knight.
You're close. That's actually not a bad move. The knight has a hard time moving because if knight e7, then white to play and win.
Yeah, don't I just... I'm just going like straight down to e8, right?
Bingo, winning the knight because of the pin. But that's possible. But another possibility is to attack this pawn on f6. Why do I see this pawn? Because this pawn cannot be defended by either of its neighbors. So by definition, it's a weak pawn. How can you attack it?
I attack it by moving queen to f3.
Bingo.
Okay.
And you see that the pawn cannot be defended.
Yeah.
Notice also the pawn on g3. Something I want you to file away in that mental Rolodex of yours, which of course is, you know, it's almost full with chess knowledge, but just one little factoid. When the knight is on the same file as a pawn, and there are two squares between a knight and a pawn, both of which are on the same file, that is a very bad situation for the knight. So here we have that situation. There are two squares I'm highlighting in blue between the g-pawn and the knight, right?
Mm-hmm.
And do you see why this is a horrible situation for the knight?
Because
pardon my French. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, because it can't move forward. The pawn defends both of its squares.
Yeah, as they say in French, the knight is cock blocked. It wants to go to f4. No. Okay, no.
What does it mean?
That was just horrible. I just said the knight is cock blocked.
I
may use that expression.
I get you. Thanks for the reset.
Ever since I learned that in fourth grade last year, I cannot stop using it. So the knight cannot go to f4, cannot go to h4. Just file that situation away. Make a mental note. Okay? So does this make perfect sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to do a freaking ton of various positional exercises. Let's just do one last one that kind of bridges the gap between positional chess and tactics. Then we'll talk little openings, and then maybe a couple more games. So,
sure.
Thank you, Alexander Mechkov, for the prime. Okay.
I said 500 bits, Fleepster?
One of my blitz games. It is white to move in this position. And part of what we're going to build up is not only the ability to evaluate trades, improve pieces, but also the ability to sense when you can basically launch a very quick attack. Like noticing, okay, a position that looks very peaceful, right? This doesn't look like anything is going on, but in reality, white is only a couple of moves from winning the game. I want you to try to figure out why that is and what move white can make here. This is going to be tricky, but try to make as many observations as you can.
Well, I can't trade knights here because I take knight with knight, he takes with pawn, and now my queen's being attacked, so that's definitely not the play.
Yeah, right. That opens up the file. It's equal. By the way, this is not bad for white, but it's clearly not, the alpha move.
I was looking at getting queen on kingside for an attack by going to g5, but I don't see where I'd continue that attack.
Right, and I remind you of one key thing. In terms of the queen's involvement in the attack, usually when the queen is all alone in an attack, it's not always that effective. That's like, Napoleon Bonaparte, going himself to the front lines.
Yeah.
Queen is like the general, and she needs to be used in very specific ways. Oftentimes, as the sort of support, as the leader of the attack, the queen can be way behind in your territory, like on g2, and doing just the same thing as it can be on g5. But we'll talk about that later. Okay, good call on that one. Yeah, I don't know what's got into me. Very French. So what seems to be annoying you about this position? Which one of black's pieces is...
It's the e5 knight.
Right, but you don't want to take it. So you want to find an alternative way to chase that knight away. What comes to mind?
Well, I'd have to move the pawn on f2, so I'd have to evacuate the knight first.
Bingo.
I guess putting the knight on... I mean, d4 doesn't seem terrible.
Exactly. Centralizing the knight while you're at it. That is the move that I played. Very nice. Knight d4.
Okay, cool.
So I call this the wish list method. Some positions, you want to just ask yourself, well, what the hell do I want to do? If I could have anything I wanted, whatever, for Christmas.
Exit tier 1 Spudster.
And that could be anything. I piece on a particular square. What is it? Because sometimes that's closer to reality than you might think. So black is a GM, by the way. This is, I was white and I was playing a GM. Knight e to d7 was his move. Continue. He's trying to preempt me, but that doesn't mean I don't want to do what I wanted to do earlier.
By playing the pawn up to f4.
Absolutely. f4. He goes knight to c5. Keep it going. His king is very weak, right? There's no fianchettoed bishop. You must open files.
Yeah, I'm pushing this f pawn again to f5, right?
Exactly. If he plays g takes f5, find the winning move for white. Don't rush. Again, as soon as a move like this is made, how has the position changed? What new avenues are available to your pieces?
Yeah, now I have the entire G file.
Yep.
So,
G5 check.
Yeah.
Wins the knight. Exactly. Good. So bishop c8, f takes g6, h takes g6, and now basically the critical moment. Or sorry, he plays f takes g6. He took with the other pawn. Now, I'll give you a hint. There is a sacrifice that leads to a devastating attack.
Is it sacking the knight d4 to f5?
Very interesting move. And actually, that's probably not bad at all. But after g takes f5, you will find that it's actually not that easy to continue. Because if you give a check here, right, that's what I assume you wanted?
That's what I was looking at, yeah.
Then the king can slide over to f7.
It protects the knight. Gotcha.
It protects the knight, and here's the problem. If you play e takes f5, why is this bad conceptually? Like this pawn, right, what's bad about it?
It can't be defended by other... Well, it can be defended by the g pawn.
Right, it's not about the pawn, but you actually want this pawn to be gone from the board, right? Because that would open the f file.
Gotcha, it's blocking.
So be very careful about that, right? I would call it the umbrella method. It's like your opponent is using the pawn as an umbrella, sheltering his king. Okay, so your right area of the board, of course. Think of another sacrifice.
Oh, the only other sack I see is the rook taking knight with
Absolutely.
Rook. Okay, cool.
You draw the king in, but now the key move, and black resigned after this move. The king wants to evacuate back to g7.
Yeah,
you allow this, I chop your nuts off.
Yeah, so you just want to slide the queen all the way to h6, right?
Bingo. And he resigned because look at the king. I mean, the king is caught in the crossfire. Rook f1, queen g7. This is all checkmate. And this is the kind of position I want you to look at, and you don't even have to calculate anything. It should be clear to you that white has overwhelming threats against black's king. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So very quickly, let's say rook f8. Continue.
At this...
And a painful little exercise, finding checkmate.
Yeah.
I know you love...
I'm still sliding the rook over to f1, right, for the check?
You are.
Okay.
If king e7...
That's bringing the queen down to g7.
Nice, made in 2. And if king e5, that is the only move. There's many ways to finish the king off. I want you to find one of them.
If I bring to the 5th rank, he just takes my knight.
And in such positions, it's important to apply basic logic. Checks captures threats. You want to keep drawing the king deeper and deeper into your territory.
Do I just deliver a check at f3 with that knight?
Whoops, I don't know what that move was. Very solid move. That basically forces black to give up the rook.
Yeah.
But you can actually sacrifice the knight. You can use it as kind of a mousetrap. Because if the king appears on d4, then there's going to be a checkmate. What you need to do is compel the king to go to d4. Give a check, force it there. Remember to look at retreating moves.
No, so am I just bringing the queen back to the 5th rank at g5?
Exactly. King takes d4, and now the mate is elementary, my dear Watson.
Is the one you're talking about just bringing the queen all the way to d2?
Whoa, but now the king evacuates. Yeah. That queen is fulfilling a crucial role. So you have to do it with another piece. You have a, oh my god, you have a very pretty
it's just
pattern.
It's just the rook then, huh?
It's the rook, yeah. Knight has to cover, and then it's hit. The move that I saw, you could also give this check. Forking knight and the queen. C takes b5. Check. King has to take. And now rook e1. And this sets up, this is not a check, but look at how safe white's king is. This sets up a discovered mate, which is completely inevitable. This is actually just checkmate. Anyways, that's just me being stupid. That you absolutely don't have to do that. Rook d1 is the simplest.
Okay.
So does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so the key, right, what we're going to work on is, while we're working on positional chess, I'm also going to try to help you develop a sense for when you can transition from quiet play to an attack. Here, you notice that, the knight on e5 is annoying. Wait a second, I can push this pawn all the way to f5 by force. Because black's got pieces, kind of like bowling pins, that you can just bowl over with your pawn. And then that basically transforms into a sacrifice. Great. Okay. So we'll do friggin' shit tons of these exercises. They're going to be in your nightmares. But let's switch to openings. I'm going to give you the choice between, we have to look at white and black openings. I would say they're of equal urgency. What seems to suit your fancy for today?
And maybe Fleepster. Give me 1 second, though. I need to tinkle real bad.
So do I.
Perfect.
As usual, we're synchronized. I mean, it's unbelievable.
That is so cute, yeah. Okay. I'll be right back. And yeah, Fleepster, I might. I just don't have any goals in it right now.
All right, perfect. Well, here we go, guys. We're going to build a beast opening repertoire for Charlie. I have just the proposals. I think I'm going to teach him the Sicilian with black. And I'm going to teach him something kick-ass for white. Basically, our goal, Charlie's not going to just try to get out of the opening alive. He's going to go after his opponents with both white and black. That is the ultimate goal, because we have a month. He's going to have the best opening repertoire anyone in the POG gyms. But don't tell him I said that. Also, a big shout out to those of you guys in Charlie's chat. Hope you're enjoying. we're going to make your man pretty damn good. We're going to make your man pretty damn good. It's going to take a while. There's going to be some tough moments. It's going to be a steep learning curve, some tough exercise. There's going to be frustration, mutual frustration, but he's going to come out strong in the end. Your boy is going to come out strong in the end. It's not going to be 1d4. So I put some thought into this, actually. I consulted with some trusted friends, and I have a pretty strong opinion as to what Charlie should play. So drum roll, please. I'll hold you guys in suspense. Of course, he has the final say.
Prime Dragon.
Student always has the final say, and I will not press him. But I think I know him well enough to know what he'll like to play.
You talking shit?
Oh, constantly. Man, you just ruined the party. I was having such a good time.
Perfect. Let's get in it.
About you. So, openings. Okay, so here's how I'm gonna preface this. You have total veto power over any of my proposals, and I know you know that, but I really mean that. If I'm showing you something with openings, it's like clothes, you know? It's like a pair of jeans that you're gonna wear for the next 7 years. Okay, it's totally not like that, but you get what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah.
It's gonna be crucial that you're emotionally fine with this. Now, here's my proposal. Let me make a new board, and let me re-invite you to an analysis board. Just give me a second. We have a month, which means that your opening repertoire by PogChamps
great, Souls. Send it on Twitter.
Kick-ass. And I consulted with some friends. I put some thought into this, and here are my proposals. Invited you.
I'm here.
Now, let's first take black. So your move, of course, has always been e5, right? That's like the rite of passage. My proposal is for me to teach you the Sicilian defense.
Oh, wow.
Now, let me explain the rationale behind this. I'm going to come at it from 3 angles. First of all, in this, are you aware of what White's main response to the Sicilian is? This is not what you're going to face most commonly, but have you heard of the open Sicilian?
Only from you, I think.
So the open Sicilian, this is White's main line response to most Sicilians, is knight f3 followed by d4, opening up the center. And against the open Sicilian, there is a incredibly tricky opening called the accelerated dragon. It is an opening where you encounter the bishop very, very early.
Is that what you call it, or is that its real name, the accelerated dragon?
That's its real name. And it comes from the non-accelerated dragon, the regular dragon, is d6, knight f6, and now g6. And chess players, as you know, are known for their incredible originality. Apparently, this resembles a dragon. You can kind of see that, the curves of a dragon.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And also, it's a very aggressive opening, so it's like a fire-breathing dragon kind of opening.
That sounds
I'm sure
like
there was some namer that got off on this. But the regular dragon has kind of fallen out of favor. It's incredibly theoretical. You're going to have to do hours and hours of memorization. And White gets most of the fun here. But with the accelerated dragon, you actually develop the knight first. And the accelerated dragon is a lot less scary to play than the regular dragon, and it's a lot more tricky. So you might not face the open Sicilian because most people of your rating don't really know how to play against the Sicilian. And that segues me into the second appeal of the Sicilian. Most people you play are going to mess this up pretty badly. A lot of people are going to play this like an Italian. They're going to play bishop c4 here, right? They're going to think, oh, well, this is the same as an Italian. But the thing is, after bishop c4, black is already slightly better. And I will show you exactly how to play this position. You're going to get the kind of position you can immediately play for a win-in. It's going to be unbalanced. And this is going to allow you ultimately to work on some of the concepts and put them into practice. So that's, I would say, reason number 2. Most people you play are going to immediately screw up. And reason number 3, as I've been hinting at, is that I want you to expand basically your horizons, by which I mean, I want you to expand your ability to play various kinds of positions, get more unbalanced positions. And would it make sense if I said that after e5, the positions tend to remain relatively balanced in most of your games for some time?
Yeah.
I'm going to plunge you into the Mariana Trench, into the frickin' deepest of deep ends. But first, we're going to do some very thorough preparation. You're going to know exactly what you're doing. And I can guarantee you, if you do a little bit of review, we cover all the bases, you're going to start getting advantages with black in the positions that you like. So that's my proposal. I know you don't know much about the Sicilian yet, so it's hard for you to make an informed decision, but how does this sound in general?
Oh, anything with accelerated dragon in the name's got me fully on board.
Excellent, it worked. That's not actually what it's... No, it actually is what it's
called.
I
see it in the chess.com. It's called accelerated dragon.
It cannot be mistaken for anything else. And the accelerated dragon, to whom I'm just looking up, to whom do we
owe the resub land?
The deepest debt of gratitude? Who was the first person to play the accelerated dragon in recorded history? Let's see. I'm running a little search. It was 1851, a guy named Marmaduke Wyville.
Wow.
I don't think anybody's had that first name in about 100 years.
Yeah, wow. That's fucking awesome.
It's like one of those British names like Egbert.
Yeah.
And Marmaduke Wyville actually won the game against Alexander Kennedy in 1851 London. He was the first person to play the accelerated dragon. It was played only a handful of times in the 1800s, and it really only caught on in the last 50 years. So it's new, and it's incredibly tricky, and some of the tricks within the main lines are really, really cool. Okay.
So
without further ado, that's
and resub
from the black side. We'll start with this. Now, very quickly, from the white side. Of course, I think you should keep e4. Now, we have several important things we need to do. First of all, I know that some people in the PogChamps will definitely, not everybody will play e5. So you need a line against the Sicilian, and we need to look at some of the sidelines. The French, this is all familiar to you, right? You've faced this before. The Caro-Kann, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it won't take us long. We'll just have one session where we look at all these sidelines. Against the Sicilian, I'll show you a line that I actually played as a kid, which is the C3 Sicilian, super dangerous line. So you'll be booked up on both ends of the Sicilian.
Perfect.
Now against e5, I put, again, a lot of thought into this. I fluctuated, vacillated, I couldn't decide. But I think I've decided on an opening that you're going to really enjoy and with which you're going to kick a lot of ass. And that is called the Vienna Gambit.
Oh.
So basically, the move is knight c3. This is already not what you play, right?
Right.
And this is considered by many to be senseless, because why play knight c3 when you can play knight f3? But there is a very specific follow-up. After knight f6, you play the move f4. Now, what is 2f4 called?
What do you mean? That's a gambit, king's gambit, right?
That's the king's gambit. This is basically a very much improved version of the king's gambit. And in many games, your opponent is going to greedily take the pawn. Black is already in huge trouble here by move 4. Can you maybe tell me why black is in trouble? Think about what the knight on f6 allows white to do. White basically makes a huge claim in the center immediately with tempo.
Is it just pushing up the pawn again? Attacking the knight?
Bingo. Now, where can this freaking knight go? Nowhere, right? It has to go back to g8. And we're going to talk about the theory here. I analyzed the hell out of this for a student a couple of months ago. So you're going to benefit from some cool analysis. Black is already in big trouble here. Some of the lines that we're going to look at are super cool. You sacrifice more pawns, but it's not the sort of thing where you have to always sacrifice a million pieces. At most, you sacrifice 2 pawns. And again, this will allow you to get the kinds of positions I think you want to get. Attacking positions, open positions. And most importantly, it's going to help you put into practice and I would say crystallize the concept we talk about. So that's my recommendation. Also sounds reasonable?
Very much so.
Okay, well, I've set the table. Now I got to deliver. Now the less glamorous part. I think just today we'll do a little bit of Sicilian. I'll introduce you to it. And we'll go from there, okay?
Yep, works for me.
So, e4, c5. A good way to approach openings in general, I like to get the lay of the land first. What is it that we're going to have to look at so that, we can basically know approximately where we are. Now, knight f3 is by far the main move. The alternatives to knight f3, there is c3. What is the idea of this move? You should be able to immediately...
It's getting ready to prep d4, right?
Mm-hmm. Getting ready to prep d4. So black has to respond to that. There is the move d4 immediately. Some people who don't really know what they're doing do this. And now there's the Smith-Morra gambit, which is c3. Not a lot of people at your level play it. Some people will play queen takes d4. You can already tell me what black does here.
He just develops the knight normally with tempo c6.
Exactly. And let's say the queen drops back. You already have the necessary information to play the next move. Like an accelerated dragon.
Yeah, so now I'm just going to bring the C pawn to C4,
right? But it's black to move.
Oh, wait, what? Am I playing?
I mean, you're playing black.
I thought I was playing white. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. But we're looking at like the Sicilian from black's perspective.
Gotcha. So now
they were just testing me.
Yeah. Now I'm just developing on the other side, right? So I'm going knight to f6. Was that the next move?
That's fine, but if you play it in the spirit of the accelerated dragon, then you would play g6.
So I always fianchetto the bishop?
Most of the time, except for one line, which we're going to talk about right now. So that's d4. We'll deepen our knowledge of all of this as well. I'm trying to just give you the lay of the land for now. And then finally, there's knight f3. By a country mile, you're going to face this move most often. So now you play knight c6, right?
Yeah.
And the move that, according to my training with my students around your level, is bishop c4. Because, again, people play the Italian against e5 and they don't sense the difference.
Misclicks.
The key difference here is that the e7 pawn has not moved to e5 yet. So what move becomes possible now? And this basically takes the entire point out of the move bishop c4, which is, of course, to pressure the pawn.
Oh, I can just move it up to e6 instead, right?
You can just move it up to e6, blunting the bishop and preparing potentially what move?
d5.
But right, potentially. You don't necessarily want to rush with that move.
Thanks to Reset Miller.
And normally white plays one of several moves. He can either castle, he can go knight c3. Let's begin by assuming that white castles. Now, once again, you have several moves. The move that I like is knight f6. Okay? Now, you are essentially inviting the move e5, which would already be pretty bad. Where do you think the knight should go? And in the Sicilian, it's going to be very important that you remain aggressive. That mentality has to be basically permanent.
Do we just get it to e4 right away?
Well, the knight on e4, take a good hard look at this knight. Is it supported by anything?
No.
And look at this pawn on e5. It's stopping its two retreat squares. So d3 would drop the knight.
Gotcha.
So you're right in terms of the knight advancing, but this pawn on e5 is what you need to exploit here.
Okay, so, I mean, I can't just take it with the knight because I don't have anything to take back.
But you can move this knight to attack it.
Yeah, so I just bring it up to g4.
You bring it up to g4. And after rook e1, you can now undermine this pawn, basically, which gives you really nice development with what move? Get rid of this pawn forcibly. When I say that, you should be thinking of pawn moves, because a pawn move essentially offers a pawn trade and gets that pawn off the board.
Yeah, I just don't know which one. Do I do it with the f pawn or the d pawn?
What does your gut say? Which move seems less weakening?
D pawn.
Yeah. Okay. And also what the d pawn does is it allows you now to develop your bishop to d6.
Okay.
Let's say white goes h3, you drop the knight back. And black has very nice development. Where is that bishop on c8 going to develop itself to? This is a very sexy development square.
Eventually or right now?
Basically on the next move. Like well, let's say eventually. Where is the ideal square for the bishop?
Wouldn't I want it on the long diagonal? So like
Absolutely.
b7?
Absolutely.
Okay.
b6, bishop b7. And this is called the Horowitz bishops. There's actually a name for bishops configured in this way.
Okay.
And they're both aimed at the king side, and black's got amazing development. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Quick tactical question. If d4, in your head, let's say c takes d4, knight takes d4, knight takes d4, queen takes d4. Black to move. And win.
I win the queen?
You do, with one move. And you had a similar idea against Erob at one time in PogChamps 1. What you need to notice here is the standoff between the queens.
Yeah, so the only thing separating the queens is the bishop in front of it.
So let's get it the hell out.
So I just move it? Do I move? But where though? Oh, I deliver a check.
Where?
I deliver a check at h2. I see.
Exactly, and then you win the queen. That is super important concept. It occurs often in the Sicilian. I guarantee you, I'm saying it right here, right now. You are going to win. I would even go so far as to say a PogChamps game with a concept like this. You're going to win a queen like this because people fall into this all the time. Okay, so in this position, white doesn't have to go e5. If white goes d3, expand in the center. And this is a move we kind of referenced just a second ago.
Are we just going right there at d4 with the knight?
Okay, so we're going d5. I got excited there when you said the word d. Okay.
Gotcha. Yeah, sorry. Now, I just looked at the
knight
outpost.
d4, but I'm not going to let you go that easily, right? You say a move like this in front of me, and you're going to hear it from me. So knight d4. Shall I list the flaws of this move?
I want to hear every single goddamn one.
I'm gonna twist the knife, and so far you're never gonna get it out. Now the first thing is it doesn't develop a piece, and it doesn't occupy the center with pawns. The fact that a piece stands in the center like this doesn't really mean anything. So for example, white can simply play c3.
Yeah, and then I just have to move.
And the knight is just gonna have to move. But the other thing is, I can take this knight, and the knight is replaced by a pawn. Is this pawn good? Now you've got double pawns, right?
Yeah.
Now you've got doubled pawns. So, and third of all, white can just ignore with knight c3. So when you are centralizing a piece, when you're putting a piece in the center, generally speaking, the purpose of that is if that piece is on an outpost or if that piece is attacking something specific, right? And that's a mentality you want to start having. Like every time you put a piece on a square, what exactly is that piece doing there? If you ask that question of the d4 knight, you can't come up with anything. It's not threatening anything. It's not doing anything, right? Sorry to harp on this so much, but that was an instructive mistake. I joke that was an instructive mistake. So the move is d5.
Mm-hmm.
You're attacking this twice. White must take. You take with the e-pawn. What opens up now?
We now have the e-file open.
White has the e-file, but what does black have?
We're attacking the bishop, and we also have...
Does bishop think about it? Where can it now go?
Are we pinning the knight at
Potentially.
G4? Okay.
But first we must finish our kingside development. We go bishop e7. The reason we go to e7 is in order to take the sting out of the move rook e1.
Mm-hmm.
Then we castle. Black is better. We have bigger control of the center. This bishop will come out either to g4 or f5. It should just make sense to you that black's position is really comfortable. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah.
At some point when we finish the theoretical part, we will practice all of these positions and we will deepen your understanding. But right now I'm giving you the lay of the land. This is the most common line you're going to face. That's why we're spending the longest on it. And lastly, if white goes rook to e1 and defends the pawn, would d5 be a good idea here?
I push d5. The only thing I see is it gives the check right away, so I won't be able to block with the bishop, right? So
what does white do after d5?
He just takes, right?
And can you take with the pawn?
No, because it's pinned.
It's pinned, so you have to take with the knight. Not great. So you actually have a tactic here, and this tactic is I'll just show you because it's a hard move to find. Knight takes d4. You've seen this idea before. What is the follow-up?
Am I just attacking with pawns here with that fork at d5?
Yep. And white is forced to give up the bishop. So you've traded pieces, but white has given up his light squared bishop. That's a super important piece. The reason that is a super important piece, let's say knight c3, you can just drop your queen back. Again, you're going to do the same thing you did earlier. You're going to put your bishops on d6 and d7. You're going to have the two bishop advantage and a great position. This rook on e4 is also kind of sticking out like a sore thumb. Does that make sense?
Makes sense. Okay.
So we looked at all three of the possibilities here. Okay. So that's what happens at bishop c4. Basically, you go knight f6, you go e6 and knight f6, and then you either go d5 or you can consider this idea of knight takes e4.
When do I want to take on e4 over doing just d5?
So taking on e4 is rare. You basically only want to take in the event of this, or if white defends with the queen, you actually could consider taking on e4 here because you have the same thing. And it is true that white can force a queen trade. But again, you have the two bishops, you have better control of the center. That's another thing I want you to start doing. You need to be comfortable sometimes going for the endgame if you're better.
I appreciate it, Fleeb. And Slayer.
Thank you, Chess Dojo, for the raid. So does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Slayer's my favorite skill.
So you would go knight takes c4 in the event that white doesn't play d3. If white does play d3, you go d5. the trade is forced, and you move your bishop out, you castle, development is very natural. Remember, the same principles that apply in e5 openings apply here. It's not a different language. It's similar positions, similar concepts. It's just something fresh, it's something more open.
No, we didn't fianchetto in this position here, right?
No. So this is the only line, this line, and then the c3 Sicilian too, where you do not fianchetto your bishop.
So that we only do this when they push the bishop out to c4? This is the line for c4? Okay.
And the reason, how do you remember this? Because the move bishop c4, you got to think about it like, oh, he's trying to play the Italian against the Sicilian. Well, why is this not the same thing? Because the pawn hasn't moved yet,
right?
Which means the pawn can now blunt the bishop.
Okay, that makes sense.
So perhaps just the only other thing I think we can look at today, I don't want to overwhelm you, and I know this is kind of relatively dull. It's just sort of a must. You do this once and then you have a blast. Let's take a quick look at just a couple moves here in the main line. Is that fine with you?
Fine by me.
And okay. So you go g6. Your next move is bishop g7. Now, golden rule number 1. It is extremely important that you never play e6 in these positions. Never combine the moves g6 and e6 in the accelerated dragon. And, okay, never say never, but that is about as hard and fast of a rule as there is. Now, you might ask, well, why the hell am I so worried about playing e6, right? So, and why would you play e6? So a lot of people play e6 because it defends this square, and they think, oh, maybe I'll put the bishop here. You have bishop always fianchettos. Let me show you a game that I played, or rather a game segment I played many years ago, and this will show you all you need to know, okay?
Okay.
So
next there is a blue dragon.
It's not okay. Second.
Oh, a lot of different ones, blue. You'll see. Coming soon.
Sorry, just 1 second. This is worth it. And you get to see me suffer. Even though I won this game in the end, you get to see like 9-year-old Daniel get absolutely destroyed.
All right.
In the opening.
Some mercy.
All right, now we should be good.
What's up, Carl?
Sorry.
Great channel, man.
Let me restart chess space. If it doesn't work, I'll just kind of tell you.
What's your rapid rating? When I was playing actively a few months ago, it was like 1100, but now it's down to like 950.
Again, cloud databases. I'm just trying to load my game database.
Oh, no rush.
Okay, perfect. It works. And I played a guy named Weston Levens, a chess player, so the weirdest names. Okay, so this was a slightly different opening, but you'll see the similarity. I am playing black here. This was 2005, so I was 9. I was rated 1800. He played the Smith-Morra Gambit. I referenced this, where you basically sacrifice a pawn. We will talk about this, but you will not accept the Gambit in order to get rapid development. Here's, guess what I did? I played knight c6, bishop c4, and I played g6. Okay? Bishop c4, bishop g7, castles. Sorry, you played knight f3, bishop g7, castles. And guess what move I played here?
Oh my god, you did e6, you maniac.
I frickin' did this, and then I got several limbs of mine chopped off by my coach. I think I still remember that lesson after this game.
Thanks to resub Yamazin.
The kinds of things I heard.
And maybe Lonzo.
You will not believe. Because to a Russian player, this move is anathema. It's unthinkable. Now, why is this move so freaking bad? Because it weakens this square. And the dark square, look at the dark squares, d6 and c7. You see how weak they are?
Yeah.
How can white stick the ultimate piece onto d6?
Yeah, just going with the queen.
Not with the queen. There's an even better piece. He did put the queen on d6 in a move, but how about the knight? Get the knight there.
So he just brings the knight to to b5 and then bringing it over? Okay.
Well, potentially knight d6. You can see how devastating that is, right? That literally entombs black's entire queen set. I play knight f6. But instead of knight d6, which would be good, now he plays queen d6, which is even better. What is he threatening? What is his next move going to be? He's going to pre-move this, literally. Don't overthink it. So let's say a6.
I don't. It's not like
simpler than you think. It is. It wins the game immediately. And I think, again, you need to be careful about assuming a square is defended. A square can be attacked more than once. Even if it's defended by a piece, it's still accessible. What 2 squares did I mention when I said e6?
E7 this was one of them. E7 and c7.
Yeah, knight c7 wins the queen.
Oh, Jesus. Checkmate. I was just looking at queens checkmates here. Okay.
Right, so knight c7, and black has to give up the entire queen.
Right.
There's no defense against this. I played queen e7. He gives a check. And now, something we will also work on the order of things. White to play and win material. Do you take the rook first? What do you do first? What do you do second? How do you win the game?
I imagine you trade queens first, right? Wouldn't that be the first order of business?
Very nice. You trade queens and you take the rook. I actually won this freaking game because I was a little goon. I was a little devil. I eventually won the knight somehow, even though it could have evacuated itself, and I won this game. But this taught me a lesson I never forgot. This in conjunction with the lesson. G6 and E6 is one of the worst combinations of moves you can possibly play. And the reason that G6 plays a role here is the bishop is gone from F8. If the bishop was at least on F8, it would defend this square, right? Now this square is completely unattended. Okay, so I know we took a while on this particular concept, but I really wanted to hammer this home. Now, when you play a bunch of games in the Accelerated, we are going to see what your opponents play most commonly. The main move is knight to c3. So continue the development.
G7, bishop, fianchetto.
G7. And the great thing about the Accelerated Dragon, it's super frickin' natural. Most people are going to take on c6 with a knight. Which way do you take with?
I imagine I take with the b pawn, right?
You take with the b pawn, exactly. What do you gain from this capture?
It lets me get my bishop where I want it in the first place on that b7, right?
Why do you want it here?
Because it's going to be attacking kingside.
It's going to be attacking these nuts. It's going to be attacking the kingside. It's me staring at the pawn.
What?
So bishop b7, and then you wanted to move the pawn out of c6, right?
Well, yeah, I just meant like eventually we want both bishops looking on the... What was it called? The Naroditsky super shitter or something, where you have both bishops on the same side. What the fuck was it?
The Horowitz bishops.
Yeah, there it is. The Horowitz.
The Horowitz bishops, yes. So I agree that was completely inadequate reaction. Bishop b7 is indeed something you play, but I would say that the word eventually is problematic here, because look at what could happen. If you put the bishop here, you see that the e4 pawn is super well defended by white.
Yeah.
The problem is, even if you play c5, the bishop is going to be biting on granite here. So I would generally say you want to develop this bishop along this diagonal.
Okay.
And I want to make a lot of these observations because I want you to understand as much as possible the sort of correct system of developing your pieces in the Accelerated. So let's say that white plays bishop d3 as we did. Continue developing with black. What do you do?
I'm now developing knight to f6, right?
Or am I yes, that's perfect.
Okay.
Knight f6 is great. You're not afraid of this move. What square is now possible for the knight?
No.
Again, the move e5, something I told you at the beginning of the session. When a pawn is pushed like this, what squares are left behind?
I don't recall. What I was looking at is just centralizing the knight again by just bringing it to d5. Okay, cool.
Exactly, right? The pawn used to defend the square. Sorry, not to like over.
Oh, okay. I get you.
And in the Accelerated, it's going to be extremely important to keep this bishop active. So if white tries to defend the pawn with f4, can we get the hell rid of this pawn?
Yeah, we can just push a pawn of our own, right?
Yep, d6, forcing the trade, and we got an amazing position. So e5 is not dangerous. Therefore, and you're definitely going to have this position. People usually do this. Castles.
I said two
and the great thing about this, black's play is so natural here. Let's say that white develops his other bishop to e4.
Flips it, and I plan on it.
Strike in the center. Black is already better here. Occupy that center and open up your pieces.
Now I'm just pushing to d5, right?
He takes d5. Continue.
Take c pawn.
What are you threatening?
I'm threatening a fork at d4.
Threatening a fork. White actually has a hard time defending it. So let's say white plays bishop to e2. Queen defending the pawn. How do we reinforce the threat of the fork while grabbing more of the center?
I bring the e pawn to e5, right?
Bingo. And now your favorite news ever, you actually can fianchetto the bishop.
Oh, there it is.
Friggin' yeah, that's exactly what you meant, actually. You meant this position.
Yeah.
It was just implied. I should have interpreted it that way, of course. How could I have thought it was in another position? And black already is much better. Now you will bring your queen in, your rooks in. Black's got an amazing position. So that's one possible sequence of events. Now, knight takes c6 at a high level is a mistake, because it allows this pawn here, it allows black to have an easier time preparing d5, and later the rook could get to b8. So white's best move here is actually bishop e3. And this one we will talk about later. Black goes knight f6. Basically, black develops in very simple fashion. That's the great thing about the accelerated. And in Sicilian in general, the development is supernatural. Okay?
Okay.
But I think that with openings, we'll definitely ramp it up.
Thanks,
but I
think
this is a good place to pause for the opening segment. What do you think? You have a lot to mull over here.
Yeah, can we...
so
in the beginning, I already forgot.
Yeah.
So this line we fianchettoed, but I don't... Okay, so...
A quick review.
Yeah.
If bishop c4, and as many questions as you want. I mean, I just don't want to overwhelm you with too much openings.
So when it's the Italian, that's when I'm e6 to blunt that.
There you go. Blunt the bishop, castles. And one of the keys, do not rush with d5. d5, you're no rush to play this move.
Okay, so then we're just doing f6 first then.
Okay, if e5?
Now we are just occupying the d5, right?
Not here, although knight d5 is okay. Now remember, this pawn becomes weak now, so we want to attack it.
Yeah. I'm doing g4. G4, that's right.
Go. And now we carve out the development of our pieces. Get rid of this pawn.
Okay, now we're just doing d6.
Bingo. And this bishop, the Naroditsky super shitter, comes out too.
Right.
I'm going to adopt that if you don't mind. Copyright, Charlie White.
By all means. So then now we're getting the bishop to b7, right? So we're just pushing b6. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Exactly. b6, bishop b7. And if rook e1 here.
Now we're just taking the pawn on e4.
Going.
And then we're going d5.
Nice. So this is just one of the possible lines. Obviously, we have, like, I think what we're going to do openings-wise next time is review c3. We're going to look at the c3 Sicilian, and we're going to look more at the main line. We're also going to look at this move bishop b5. It's called the Rosolimo. And here you actually still play g6. So you play this much like an accelerated dragon. And there's actually not as much theory as people think there is. The Sicilian is like mythologized, but to play it at a good basic level, you know, it's not like insurmountable, if that makes sense.
Okay, I get you.
And we're also going to involve the Vienna. But, you know, openings, best, like black caviar, best in small doses. So I propose maybe jump in for one, two more games, and we can maybe draw some conclusions.
Okay, that sounds good.
What say you to that?
Yeah, last question I had. In the example
as
before
many as you want, yeah.
Can I move this? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, and then it was white going here, you took, right? And then played knight?
In the main line. So in the main open Sicilian, white prepares this by going knight f3. And now knight c6.
Okay. I was wondering when this happened, because I know we took a pawn in one of the examples and I couldn't remember. So this is the open Sicilian that they played?
Open Sicilian, yeah. Knight takes d4, open Sicilian because they open up the position. And now you do what?
Now it's fianchettoing, right? So I'm going g6 and then...
Yes.
Okay.
And one key just point here. If white takes on c6, immediately continue.
Then I'm taking on b7, or taking on b6 with the b7 pawn.
Yeah, there's one move I want to alert you to, which is queen to d4, attacking the rook. Stopping bishop g7, but that's not a problem. How can you defend that rook while developing?
I'm just developing knight to f6.
Okay, e5.
I'm just going to d5.
Already you're pattern recognizing. This is awesome. Now white has this move e6, which looks intimidating, because it exposes the attack on the rook. And here I'm just going to tell you, you just play f6. And this looks awkward, but give this a chance. After e takes d7, you can play bishop takes d7. You can even play queen takes d7. But I like bishop takes d7. And then the move f6 is going to allow you to prepare what further central control?
The e5.
Bingo. And then you're basically going to position your bishops like this. You're going to have a super solid position. It takes some getting used to. This is an acquired taste kind of position. I don't think people are going to do this in its entirety, but I just wanted you to be aware of this move. This doesn't mean you've done anything wrong. I will analyze this also myself to make sure I'm telling you exactly the right moves.
So in this position, what would they normally do? Just develop?
So let me think about this. I'm going to check actually. Well, if I check the main chess database, that's not going to be representative of what your people do. So knight c3 is the most common move, right?
Right.
There is also, what do grandmasters play? Grandmasters play this move c4. This is called the Maróczy bind, because you bind on the d5 square, named after Geza Maróczy, Hungarian player.
Mm-hmm.
Very important information. And this is what the grandmasters play, but this is not what you're going to be facing, and I'll teach you how to play against it. It's a very positional opening. You're saying, I'm not going to attack, I'm going to clamp down on the center. And in the long run, I'm going to make it very hard for black to play d5. Right?
Right.
But your actual play doesn't change here. What do you think black does?
It's still just going to probably be playing normally, right? I'm fianchettoing. Yeah.
And then we're going down the friggin' main of the main lines, and you're getting all the moves.
Yeah, so then we're just going to be up there at f6 next.
Yep. Natural development.
Castling.
Main line of the Maróczy bind, my friend. Continued.
Just b6, b7.
This is interesting. That's one line, but d6 is the main line.
Oh, okay.
And this is the beginning of the theory. And we will talk about this position because that will help you build understanding. Here, black has to play in a very specific manner in order not to get squeezed and suffocated. But you will not get this position anytime soon. But you can see that was already 9 freaking moves of theory that you played instantly. Okay, and we basically just started. So imagine where we'll be in a freaking month from now.
True,
we'll be the ultimate accelerated dragon expert.
That feels good. I just need to remember when to do these.
Yeah, we'll review this a million times.
Yeah.
And I just want to warn you, like, when we do these openings, you're going to forget. First couple, you're going to lose some games. You're going to get crushed a couple times. And you're going to make stupid mistakes. You're going to forget. You're going to mess up the move order on move 2. And you just have to be patient with yourself. It's Rich telling me to advising someone to be patient with themselves. Because if I mess up the move order, my entire apartment is usually trashed. But you just have to expect that. It's a rite of passage when you're learning new openings.
Okay. I mean, yeah.
So hopefully you'll get a chance to try this, Cillian, like right now.
Yeah. All right. So you want to just hop in the pool then?
Hop in the friggin' pool if you feel like it.
Yes, sir.
It's a great way to round off.
It's game time, baby!
Shit. Wait, I need to follow you. Oh my god, he plays the... Okay, so he plays the C3 Sicilian.
Yeah.
Okay, so...
I'm still dragging
him. What do you want to do? You want to strike first in the center. You do not want to let him play D4. You want to strike first. What does that mean?
So am I just going to do the Maróczy bind with an E5?
That's possible, but not E5. But what's the other central strike?
Is it still doing the dragon over here at C6?
No, D5. The move is pawn to D5.
Oh, I see.
Bingo. And after E takes D5, queen takes D5. Here's the key. Normally, it's a bad idea to put the queen on D5 because white has what move to chase the queen?
A pawn move.
No, I mean, if you play the Scandi, how does white chase the queen? What does white develop to what square? Well,
to chase me away from D5. Oh, he plays C3 with his knight. I see what you're saying.
Knight C3, but here he doesn't have it. Okay, F3 is already very bad. So now, and this is one of the keys in the Sicilian, oftentimes you don't want to do anything. You just want to keep developing. I want to see how you develop.
So am I going right back to the dragon with the knight here at C6? Cause...
Perfect.
Okay. And then, since he didn't...
Okay.
Do I need to be alert here, or am I just going right now at G6?
Yeah.
Okay.
See, that's the great thing about this. In most cases, you can just play the accelerated moves. They might not be the best moves, but they'll be good enough. Okay. Now you need to be a little bit alert.
Yeah, because now I have that pawn undefended.
Yeah, so
I can
deal with that.
I can just well, I can't B6 because that hangs my knight.
No, but I mean, trading is okay.
Okay, so I'm just taking then.
That also softens up his D4 pawn. And guess what? You're fianchettoing your bishop. So unless he plays this super accurately, he might end up... His center might end up collapsing here. Awesome. Awesome.
So I can't take. He's now have... What can't...
Okay.
So I'm just going to develop.
Absolutely. he should play e5 here. And that closes up the center, reaches
thanks
an
to tier 1,
position,
Harry.
which you need to kind of practice playing. Okay. Continue developing. Absolutely.
When do I look to push b6 to get the bishop to b7, or is that situational?
It's situational, and here, of course, the knight on c6 is going to be hanging. Yeah. So the thing is, you don't always have to develop your pieces, all of them, all at once. Like a piece can be on its initial square for a time being.
Here's the prime.
But if you okay, so what you want to do is you want to soften up white center. So you actually want to trade, and what you are going to see when you trade, what specifically do you trade?
Am I trading pawns right here?
Yes.
Okay.
Here's the thing. Do you see that your queen now makes contact with the d4 pawn?
Yeah.
After he takes with a pawn, I think he's going to... Okay, he takes with a knight. That's not a great move, because now that bishop on g7, always harken back to your accelerated dragon bishop. That bishop is a beast that often comes alive. So what do you do?
Well, I need to free up the knight, so I just trade knights here.
Trade. And then what can you take?
That gives me the pawn now, right?
Absolutely. Now I have not only the pawn, but his position just collapses. Now, what do you want to take it with?
So do I want to do bishop first, so that way when I... Oh, okay.
You need to keep your... Sorry, that didn't need to be harsh. You need to keep your accelerated dragon bishop.
Okay. So I take with knight then.
Yes. And what you're going to see, he's probably going to take your knight, then you take, and he can't even castle. That accelerated dragon bishop is now preventing his king from castling.
Okay.
So you're up a pawn and you've got a huge attack. Go ahead. 12 moves, you're already basically winning.
Alright. So the only reason I was doing bishop first was to have the knight attacking the bishop at the second part.
Yeah, I totally understood, and we'll talk about that. But okay, so queen d2 is a good move. Now, you need to spot his... He has an undefended piece, right? That bishop on b5.
Yeah.
So you can bring a piece out, and you can attack that bishop. And you can build a little battery.
Do I just push up this f pawn, f6?
The other bishop is what I mean. The bishop on b5.
Oh, I was looking at his... Okay, I see. Yeah, so I just want to...
That bishop you can attack with what move?
D7.
No, then you move your queen.
Oh, yeah, you're right, because then I blocked the... Good lord.
You block the other bishop.
Yeah.
Queen b6, yeah.
Okay, I see. Gotcha.
Yeah, no worry. You'll get a better sense of these kinds of positions very quickly. But does this move make sense? You get the queen out of the standoff and you attack the b5 bishop.
And it's still protecting the bishop. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, he's good. This guy's playing well. Okay, but now you need to complete your developments.
Yeah, so I was looking at just g4 for the bishop.
Go ahead. And that also prevents him castling long. Now, he can take the pawn on e7, and if he does, you have a super nice move there. You can sacrifice and exchange in order to... You see that e4 pawn, right?
Mm-hmm.
A pawn is super weak. You can get a rook to e4 at any moment. Okay, so he goes there. Now, where should you move your rook? Nice open file.
I just want to put it at d8, right?
Yep. And what tactically do you notice immediately?
It's now X-raying the queen.
X-raying the queen. So you don't necessarily look for moves immediately. You just notice that. That's enough, because depending on what he does, then you might start looking for discoveries.
Thanks to the prime, RJ.
Okay. Finally, he is stumped. And there's going to be a long time where you feel like you're at sea in these positions.
Mm-hmm.
But so are your opponents. Like, nobody below really 1400 studies the Sicilian properly. So remember that you're not going to be playing people who are at all well prepared. They might have a line chosen, but that's right about it. So, and the same goes for your white openings, by the way. Okay, rook, okay. Oh my god, you have a beautiful move here.
So, I don't just take the rook with the bishop?
Not yet. Discovery against the queen. What comes to mind?
The only check that I saw is
Go
f2.
ahead, do it.
Well, but f2, he just takes with the queen.
But then keep calculating. You have checkmate in 1. You see your bishop on g4. You see your rook on d8. They combine to attack what square?
Oh, I see the d1. Okay.
Yep.
So I just...
That's where the puzzles are going to come in. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm still just doing this f2.
Yeah. The way I see this is when he plays rook d1, I notice which pieces are... Okay, great.
Yeah, so now it's just checkmate, bringing rook down. Okay.
Congrats on your first Sicilian game.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Okay, so just a couple of things, and then maybe you can play one last one. Let me invite you. Just important because these first couple of games in the Sicilian are gonna offer us very important chances to improve.
Thanks to the resub remote and Amplify and Grug and Toast Malone for the bits. Toss me that bad boy one more time.
Sure. Done. Okay. So c3 d5, the rationale behind this makes sense, right?
Yeah.
If they take, we get away with taking with the queen, and this is the main line. White goes d4, and now keep pressure the pawn.
Yeah, so now I'm just bringing up the knight to c6, right?
Bingo. And you almost never want to take the pawn, because what concession does this make? Thinking about what we talked about in the context of the queen on d5.
Well, now I can just develop the knight.
Bingo. So you want to keep the tension. Knight f3.
Where's the prime popcorn?
Now apply indirect pressure on this pawn. When I say indirect pressure, what I basically mean usually is you apply pressure on the pieces defending a particular pawn. But it's also a natural development. You should see this, regardless of its intention. It's just an intuitive move.
I'm still fianchettoing, right? Jeez.
Not yet. First, deal with this bishop. Where can you put it?
Do I go to the g4?
Yes.
Okay.
You seem mystified at this move.
Yeah, cool, because he's just going to chase it away.
Okay, but wait a minute. This bishop is making contact with the knight. What pawn is this knight defending?
Oh, it's defending the d4.
How many attackers does the d4 pawn have?
It has 3.
So after h3, we do what?
We just take.
Yeah, and then even queen takes, you take the queen. Pawn takes, you take the pawn. So even, by the way, even if he did chase you away, even if he does this, right? Look at how weak the knight becomes.
Yeah.
The knight is now basically undefended. It's pinned. So sometimes you want to provoke that. That's also fine. But anyways, we'll talk about that later. f3, knight c6. And you see how adaptable the accelerated dragon is. You can basically play it against anything. And here, yeah.
When should I trade pawns? In that situation, it was hanging. When is it just when I can't defend it with a pawn?
Oh, you mean this pawn?
The move before this, we just took that pawn.
So yeah, I mean, it's just because he wants to take on c5.
Okay, so just beat him.
Also, like, trading softens up the center. Ultimately, the accelerated dragon is a hypermodern. And not to lecture you too much, but I might have talked about this before. The hypermodernists were a group of people in the 1920s who developed all of these openings, like the accelerated dragon and King's Indian. And these are openings where you allow your opponent a greater share of the center, okay? Which they were laughed out of every tournament because of that. Because, like, this was anathema. You couldn't say that. The center was all the rage. I mean, I know that sounds weird to us now, but literally they were laughed at. But the bottom line in these openings is you deploy your pieces in sniper-like fashion. You attack White's center from afar. And so you want to do whatever it takes to soften up White's center. Does it make sense that this trade weakens the d4 pawn?
Yeah.
And it should also make sense by that same token that the move d takes e4 applies even more pressure on them. Right. If they had gone f takes e4, what would you do here? To the point of identifying new squares that are now made available to your pieces. Super important.
Do I just bring the bishop over to g4 first?
Yes. Okay. And actually, if h3, do you take the knight?
I don't think so.
Just because I asked you?
Well, I want to keep the pin, right?
Actually, no. So if you play bishop h5, first of all, that's a blunder. You blunder the bishop.
Oh, it has no retreat squares, right? He just pushes up.
Yeah, so when you fianchetto, you got to be careful about this. But by taking the knight, look what happens to White's center. This d4 pawn, right? It needs to be defended, which means he's got to take with the e-knight, which means you have now what?
Now I have just taking the pawn, right?
Bingo.
Yeah.
and white's whole position collapses. By the way, you should also bear in mind in such positions, queen a5 check. Sometimes this wins a piece. Here he can go back to c3, but now you can do what? This is an even better version of what we just talked about.
Yeah, I just take the pawn again because it's pinned.
Yeah, absolutely.
So in that position, if we did get the bishop to g4, why wouldn't he just take with like a queen or something? Well, that wouldn't make any sense. Never mind. I see.
Well, then you take this pawn.
Yeah, I see. It just
white can't defend both at the same time.
Yeah, he just loses a pawn regardless.
Right. I mean, he can defend. He can play d5 and he can start. But now it's a runaway train, and now he gives you this square and I mean, just all of your pieces are breathing here, even if you don't win the pawn. So that's the point behind bimodal. Knight takes c4.
Thanks for the bits, Darko.
You did the same. You didn't need to play bishop g4. You just win the pawn. And now this is what concerned me a little bit, right? The move queen b6. I want this to be automatic. How do I find this move? Fundamentally, right? This bishop is the only undeveloped piece. So I understand your instinct to go bishop d7, but there's just something about it that seems very passive. Not to mention that it drops this bishop.
Right.
Does it actually drop the bishop? Do you lose a piece?
Well, I can deliver a check and get the bishop back.
Do you need to deliver a check?
Oh, I just take the bishop right away.
Yeah, but is it a good idea to trade queens even if you win a pawn? The answer is no, because this brings white closer to liquidating, right? Whereas clearly you are the one attacking here. So queen b6, building the battery, attacking the bishop, and everything crumbles. Get the bishop out. I would even consider getting the bishop to like e6. You don't always need to develop the bishop to quote-unquote the most active square.
Thanks to resub Kane.
You can also play a6, by the way, and chase white's bishop away. So many possibilities here. But now rook ft8 and this key move bishop f2. You could also have taken on d1. And if queen takes d1, then what do?
I just deliver that check with the bishop right and I win a queen.
Yes, and what about king takes d1? Find the most clinical move. Be careful here, because if you move the bishop just anywhere, he can block the pin with bishop d3.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to add some more Tabasco sauce to that white queen.
Do I swing it all the way around to h5? Or, whoa, no, I can't even do that. I don't even know what I was looking at.
Great move.
Jesus. I just directly attack it at e3. Okay.
Nice. Bishop e3.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, you saw the arrow. Sorry, I didn't mean to. But bishop e3. What is the purpose? You attack the queen with two different pieces.
Yeah.
And after bishop takes e3, you don't even have to take the queen yet. What can you do first?
I can just take the bishop first.
Yeah. Pins, spins. And this is winning. You can also go bishop c3. But yeah, those are the most accurate ones. So does that make perfect sense? But bishop f2, when you start solving problems again regularly, which I want you to do, you're going to start seeing these moves pretty quickly. Because I immediately see a rook appearing on d1. My brain just inputs that. Right? Okay, rook can appear on d1 and it's checkmate, because the queen obstructs that square. But that's the Sicilian for you. Welcome to the world.
Okay. It's gonna take a little getting back in the action. It's gonna
take a week, 2 weeks, and I have infinite patience in that regard. And
thanks to the three.
If you think you're gonna get off the hook from that drill we once did, we're gonna have one lesson where we do that frickin' drill where I give you 1 minute basically to win 30 positions where you're up a queen and a rook to get that speed going as well. What do you say? One more for the road?
Yeah, I'm ready.
What was that?
Oh, I let off the thing. Yeah, I'm ready. I'll hop in.
Perfect. Fantastic. All right.
Good Lord, Accelerated Dragon.
Yes, as if they couldn't have scripted it any better. Ah.
Oh, so this is mainline, right? So I'm just going right to c6.
Absolutely, you're going knight to c6. You better.
Okay.
See if he goes. Yeah.
So then this is where I take and then Fianchetto.
And Fianchetto. Welcome to the Accelerated Dragon, my friend. Scripted. Okay, main line. We talked about bishop b3 or knight c6. We talked about knight c6. I said that that's the most. Okay, bishop b3 is the main line. Develop.
Okay, and then it is f6.
Yeah. You are playing
big
boy opening theory right now. He's probably gonna. Okay, f4.
It's still castle, right?
So I would say here, you have to ask yourself, what is the purpose of f4? What move does it prepare?
E5.
Yeah, so there is a move you want to make here, which you want to make anyway in these positions
D6.
to stop e5. Yeah, play d6 first. So be flexible in your development. I'm teaching you an opening scheme.
Thanks for resub, JBR.
What has to transcend that is, first and foremost, you have to look at what your opponent is doing. Because your opponents are going to do a wide variety of various things, and sometimes you're going to have to modify or change the order of things a little bit.
Okay, so in this position, if he pushes e5 still, do I want to take or do I just want to go d5 right away?
Well, if he pushes e5, you can't go knight d5. That hangs. You can also go knight g4, by the way. Look at that g4 square. That can set his entire position in disarray because his bishop defends the knight on d4 and his position may collapse. Okay, so bishop b5, you have to attend to that.
Mm-hmm.
Defend the pin. You know how to defend against these pins.
Yeah. At one point in time, I'm sure I did.
Right.
Again. Do I just bring the bishop there at d7?
Yes, bingo.
Okay. And
one area where you've grown and I like it is you don't always now try to develop a piece to the quote-unquote most active square. Like bishop on d7, a lot of people look at it and say that's a shitty bishop. Not really. It's fine. It's doing its job. And you actually already have a super nice move here. I already mentioned this move to you before.
Yeah, is it g4?
Nice.
Yeah,
G4.
Okay, cool.
If he moves his bishop, guess what wins the game is the fianchettoed bishop on g7. He's got to take on c6, which is a concession we talked about. Yeah, he's already in trouble. And you could have also castled, but that's a good idea. That's a good thing, a good lesson of not being on autopilot, eliminating the autopilot.
Mm-hmm.
Always considering the concrete resources in a given position rather than sort of making the next move on the laundry list. So does this move knight g4 make sense?
Yeah.
And he played f4 on move 7. That was a mistake because that left the bishop on e3 undefended. You're exploiting that. It makes perfect logical sense.
Exit prime, Omi.
And ultimately, okay, perfect. You're winning. How? In many ways, actually.
Yeah, so I just take that bishop.
Yes.
And then from there,
he's probably going to take back and lose his queen, but he should take on c6, but you're going to end up a piece up anyway.
If he takes... I'm having a hard time figuring out the next line. If he takes on e3 with the queen...
Okay.
What's the next move? Is it taking...
Oh,
it's taking the knight on d4. With the bishop.
With the bishop pinning his queen.
Yeah.
Winning his queen. And the accelerated dragon bishop wins the game. There, he can cut his losses. Well, okay, he does. Now, here you have to be very precise. What you want to do here, look at... Okay, what do you think black should do?
I was looking
what should you take?
I was looking at taking the rook.
That's fine. That's one of the possibilities. Probably not the exact most precise move, but it's fine.
Okay, well, I'll do
it, and you'll see what would happen if he reacts correctly, and then this is winning. This is also winning. Basically, the reason is that knight on f1 is going to be trapped, and you could have won a piece instead of an exchange, which is marginally better.
Okay, so I just take here with the queen. He takes.
Of course.
He takes back.
Well, he doesn't take on f1. If he's 5-head, he's going to move his knight from d4, let's say to f3 or b3, and he will. I mean, I think you'll see that.
You think?
And then, okay, so he does something similar, which is also fine. Now, this is a very good chance for me to remind you of a principle. When you have a piece that is lost, okay, remember that you want to give this piece up for as much, you want to take with you as much as you can. If you're already losing the piece, you might as well freaking give it up for something. So what do I mean here?
Just taking the pawn on h2.
Bingo. And when you blunder pieces, and you will, that's a good way to cut your losses. Okay, so now you're up in exchange and a pawn. Continue.
Yeah, no, I just want a castle.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Now think about, are there pieces that could be deployed into the game that are currently not doing anything?
What I was looking at is pushing the f7 pawn to f5 to try and open this up here to get the rook into the action.
That's not a bad idea at all, but remember, f5, e takes f5. You cannot take on f5 with the rook. You can take with the pawn, though.
Yeah.
Now, I'll tell you that in this... Okay, he goes f5 himself. I'll tell you this. In the Sicilian, the rook on a8 generally belongs on c8. That is just a rule of the Sicilian.
Okay.
The reason why c-file, you can see that it would pressure the knight on c3. The c-file is what's called a semi-open file. Mm-hmm. There's only pawns of one color on that file. And so because there's a white pawn on c2, this benefits black. So you can go ahead and do that.
Okay. Now, so just right to c8 then?
Okay, c8. Now, do you see that the move f5 doesn't actually create any threats? That's a paper tiger. It may look intimidating, but it doesn't do anything at all. In fact, it weakens the square. It gives you a nice little outpost on what square potentially with check too.
On e5.
Beautiful little square. Now, you don't need to rush with that check, but just keep that in mind. Now, the rook on c8 is not even done yet. Where could it go from here to twist the knife?
Are we looking at c5 and getting it over to h5?
Potentially, if he takes the pawn, then yes. But if he doesn't, if he leaves the pawn on f5, where can the rook go?
Oh, am I just going to c4 then?
Bingo. I'm telling you, you have a freaking sense for these positions. I just knew it, and I can see it. Rook c4 attacks the knight, and he has to move the knight and his position collapses. Yeah, this guy knew. Okay.
So I'm just playing that now.
Yeah. There's many ideas of this move. You can also stack the rooks on c8. Okay. He's playing this pretty well, but now you can strike in the center. See, this is a good time. He's moved his pieces away so you can rip apart the center.
Yeah, so now do I just play d5 here?
Yeah. Sorry, excited. Yes. I'm excited for you to be playing this opening. This is going to pay off in a big way. Okay, b3.
I have to drop the rook now.
Yeah, that's okay.
Do I drop it all the way back, or do I want to drop to like c5? Well, c5
back all the way. c5 would run under the crosshairs of the queen on f2. It would be a discovery there. And this is one of the other things I want you to pay attention to increasingly is you put a piece on a square. A lot of people are averse to bringing a piece back to where it came from. Like, well, I just came from there. But the situation changes, and that's generally not a reason to not do that. Okay, now what? Complete the job?
I just take now.
Yeah. Exposing the attack on the knight. Nice. Yeah, he's busted. He's got 20 seconds. This is your first day playing the Excited. Okay. What can you tell me about the rook on d1?
Undefended.
Bingo. So do you have to worry about the x-ray? The queen is actually in charge here. Can you attack that knight?
If I take with bishop, he takes. I can't. Can I?
You can. Nope. But you can apply pressure on it with a piece that is currently on not doing anything.
I'm looking at e5.
With a piece that's currently e5, you can en passant you.
Oh, right. I totally forgot about en passant.
There is a piece that's not doing anything. It's sitting on f8.
Oh.
You should see this.
Okay, so I just bring the rook over to d8?
Yeah. Rook d8. Don't lose on time, Ravenel. We're going to have a big problem. A big fucking problem. We lose this game on time. Collect the harvest.
I just take the pawn.
Yeah. Why the pawn? The knight.
Oh, shit. Sorry.
This is fine. That's fine.
I was panicking.
Now you take the rook and you win the rook.
Yeah.
But, and he takes on e7. You can tuck. Okay. Just take back. Fine. You got to move fast. Tuck the king away on h8. Bring queen back to d4. Yeah.
Wait. What?
Queen d4. Move. Queen g7. You can take the knight, and pre-move everything.
Jesus Christ.
Pre-move. Every move has to be a pre-move, Charlie. Literally, rook 1 square forward. Pre-move everything. This is good practice pre-moving. Move. Bingo. That's the new frickin' Charlie. That's what I'm talking about. You would have lost that game on time. You can pre-move with the best of them. So when you reach 3-4 seconds, and you are probably going to have a time scramble in PogChamps, there has to be a threshold. You reach 4 seconds, you pre-move whatever it takes. It doesn't matter what move you make. I can't emphasize that enough. Okay, and you did that here very successfully.
Okay, so I had a quick question though towards the
Please.
end. All right.
So let me invite you to a board.
Yeah. At the end,
we will practice the speed as well, by the way.
Okay. Yeah, at the end when I took pawn instead of knight, I was wondering why knight was the better call.
Right. So.
But maybe I'm just not remembering the position right in my head.
Yeah, so basically here, rook f8 attacks the knight.
Mm-hmm.
The knight, can he defend with c3, first of all?
No, because he hangs the pawn.
Right, that's why we put the rook there. Now, taking the pawn, I suppose, is fine, but taking the knight is just a free knight. I mean, why take the pawn and slightly weaken your king? I guess it's fine, because he has to move this knight, and then you can take the knight? I guess it's fine, but this is more pure.
Okay, I get you.
This is more pure. And then you can take the pawn with the queen, without ruining your king's side.
Okay, that makes sense.
But this move rook d8, right? Now, e5, he had en passant. Does that make sense? Can you make that en passant on the board?
Yeah, it's just going like right here.
And believe it or not, this is actually good for black. Because now he's got to move his queen. And you can again make the move e5.
Okay.
And this time, this is a funny technique. And this time he doesn't have one. Exactly. That's what the knight is saying. So that would have also been fine. But rook d8 is, again, the cleanest. In terms of other notes, this move knight g4 is what I want you to keep in mind. Whenever they play f4, that bishop on e3 loses its protection. And it's a matter of time until you play knight g4. He should have probably gone h3 to stop it.
Oh, I remember the other thing. When I took bishop and then took rook, what was the better thing instead of taking rook?
So it was actually just to take on d4, which does many things. You win a piece. Okay, now you have a discovered check against the king on the cards, and you're still attacking the rook. So mathematically speaking, you get the same thing you get in the game, except you also win the knight. For example, if he moves his rook to e1, give me the best discovered check here.
Oh, just going there, c2.
Bingo, and you win the rook, and you're up a full rook there, and so on. Okay, so it's a simple matter in these situations of not stopping the calculation, because you kind of stopped and said, he takes on f1, and then I take the knight. Not to put words in your mouth, I feel like that's what might have happened. But the knight, what I see, the knight is not getting out. He could have, he basically did that. He could move the knight away. Now you have to give away the knight. You're only up in exchange, which is still great, but not the same as a rook.
Okay, that makes sense.
So, but overall, I cannot be happier with how the Sicilian is starting out. And this is just the beginning. So on deck for us next, we're going to tighten the screws here in some of these lines, and we're going to get started on the Vienna, and you're going to have a ton of fun in that line as well.
Okay, cool.
And once again, what you want to hit in the meantime is you want to do puzzles, as much as you can. You want to play, and if you play on your own, I will go through your games and I'll try to assemble.
And it was a good show, Nero. Sorry.
Puzzle sets on the basis of your mistakes. So that'll give me a lot of material to incorporate it and cycle into future lessons where we'll talk about your mistakes. So,
okay.
I won't police that too much. Play as much as your heart desires.
It makes sense to me. I mean, I think,
how does that sound?
Yeah, just the name alone from Marmaduke and the Accelerated Dragon, I think that
sets the table. I mean, there's something symbolic.
And I don't know they opened
this.
myself.
You have to play what Marmaduke played.
That's what I'm saying.
I think this was great, Charlie. I mean, we got a lot done. I think we laid the groundwork. We played openings, tactics, positional chess. We hit all 4 main points. And we'll let the boot camp begin. How do you feel?
I feel good, man. I like it.
Fantastic. Well, I think you've earned a rest from this wretched game. But yeah, I'm totally down for another session soon.
Yeah, just hit me up with your schedule.
I'm super excited. Absolutely. I'll message you. I'm excited for you to play, and this is awesome. Really appreciate it, Charlie.
Of course, man. I'm looking forward to it. I hope you have a great afternoon, man.
You too. Great session. Talk to you soon.
Talk soon, man. See ya.
All right. Take it easy. Bye.
Okay. I'm going to take a piss real quick, and then I'll be right back. Give me 1 sec. I'm also going to fill up this water. Alright, team. I'm back. Oh. Love garlic. Thanks for the resub, EXO. Sorry, I was on the phone. Thanks for the prime, Ingip. Well, thanks, DJ. Hope you're having fun, man. Thanks to the prime, Miles. And the prime, not half bad. When we're seeing the edible anuses, I don't know, it hasn't come yet. Thanks to the resub, Muck. And the bits in us. Haven't watched Tenet yet, no. I was over 1,000 rating when I was actually playing. But then I took like a 2-month break and then I tried to come back with like fast games. And I was just getting stomped. Thanks to the Prime Zap and resub Psycho. The Prime Subway. Thanks for the resub. Michaliterus. What will you do after? I'm probably going to stop here in a little bit, and then I'll come back later tonight and do some more Rust. I think PogChamp is obsolete. SogChamp should be the new standard. That's what I think. At least the tier 1 Miles the GOAT. Thanks, Lox. One more game for the road? No. I'm just gonna hang out for a little bit. I'm gonna go get some dinner here pretty soon. Order. Not right now, Sam. Just prepping for the PogChamps 3 tournament. Which I think they should rename to the SOG Champs, but that's just me. What time are you playing Rust? Probably around like 9. Thanks to resub Crimson. You won big last night on Rocket League? Yeah, Believers won huge last night. I'm super curious if anyone's close to 20 million now. Because we did like 40, no, definitely not 40. We did like 20 something games and I won the majority of them. Believers were cashing out. I know Select is up in like the 2 or 3 million range. Just from last night. Actually, 2 gift subs, J. Paul. And the Prime Green. Carlos, Select won like 2 or 3 million last night in 2 hours. Like, it's on prediction nights, shit gets wild as long as you're getting lucky predictions. Thanks to the resub, big boy. You playing Rust tonight? Yeah, I'll probably play Rust tonight. Around like 9. I don't know when the tournament is. No clue. Thanks to the Prime Tax. And the resub Scoot. Any Yu-Gi-Oh? Not today. I'm gonna be opening some shit tomorrow though. At the warehouse. I'm gonna be busting through well, actually, I don't even know if I'll do it tomorrow. Either tomorrow or the next day, but I'm busting through some more First Ed boxes. Jungle, Challenge, Heroes, Neogen. Oh, well, thanks, Danny. I'm gonna stream at the warehouse? Yeah, we'll be doing streams there. I'm gonna be doing a lot of different shit. Your top 500 global in Duel Links? Good shit. Thanks to the resub, Valivus. When will I play Yakuza again? I don't know yet. I have been watching Attack on Titan. A lot. Love Attack on Titan. I haven't watched the new episode yet. I have to wait for Tiana to get home. Oh yeah, I forgot to do that here. Is Silver Spirit on? I can do that now, I forgot. Jujutsu Kaisen's fantastic as well. Oh, there he is. Here, I'll do that now. Since you did it before I raised it. But yeah, 3.5 would be way too low. There. Thanks to Prime Agrusta. Are you still grinding for #1 spot in Mr. Krabs overdoses on ketamine? I haven't in a few days, but I will be again soon, yeah. How'd the Rust speedrun go? My best time was a 118. I only did it for like a little while before giving up. That shit was way too fucking optimized. There was no chance. Ouija board stream in the warehouse? That'd be great. We'll see, Flip. I don't know if I'll be able to get Grandmaster, but god damn it, I'll get close. Maybe. Can you use our music in your streams? Yeah, of course. Okay, what time is it? Alright, I think I'm going to head out for now. I'm going to work out before getting food. So, I'll be back in 4 hours-ish. Somewhere in the 4-hour ballpark. Thanks to the Prime Neil. Thanks everyone for tuning in. To everyone who donated, big thank you. New subs, welcome aboard. Appreciate the generosity. Enjoy the emotes. And I will see you all in 4 hours. Take it easy, everyone. See ya.